Check fucking rules. Check rules so hard. I still cannot believe that Kita put her whole ass into that thing. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for subscribing. I appreciate it. You can use Prime to give me a free subscription on twitch.tv/KillJoelVT. If you have Prime, you get free chili emotes. Sorry, that probably sounded horrible. That sounded probably horrendous. So I got a new mic. I don't know. I do not know how this sounds 100%. I'm still getting the hang of this thing. I messed with settings a little bit, so hopefully it should be like fine. Um, if there are any problems at all, like if any of the audio levels are kind of wonky, or if it's dropping out like a lot of me speaking, do let me know. Let me switch my funny screen here. Wah. Oh, and it would help if I turned on the. Ah! Sorry, that was very loud on my end. I apologize. I was probably loud for everyone else as well. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But there it is. There's hold on. Wait, let me adjust Kohaku a little bit. Let me adjust my little flag a little bit. There we go. Now the creature corner looks fine again. Wait, hold on. Okay, there we go. Now we can see a little bit more of Kohaku. So it's been a hot minute. I haven't streamed since like November. I apologize. I was both like knuckle deep in game dev, and also like I was experiencing both busy and the dark winter months. I'm still experiencing the dark winter. It's like, oh, thank you for following. Thank you. I like the subscribe first and to follow combo. um, what was I saying? Oh yeah, but it's like there's like Sweden shit happening outside. There's Alaska shit happening. I like look outside. It's like 4 p.m. and it's already like fucking pitch black. Basically, it's ridiculous. I hate it. I need to experience the warm sun on my skin, but I've been kind of back at it. This switch really like a boomer. No, it's okay. It's okay. I don't mean to make you feel self-conscious. That is totally fair. Yeah, my train of thought is gone again. I don't know, but yeah, I'm back. I wanna stream more, especially because I have this wonderful new microphone. And it sounds so much nicer. Like I was able to make the blue snowball sound like okay, but like this is much better. I'm just yammering on, aren't I? Like I should play the fucking game. So this is like a newer version of Coquette. There is an update pretty recently. Unfortunately, a few CGs had to be censored due to Patreon like whacking some fetish creators, and you know, like when suddenly like there's like a yuck policy that's like put in place that's like super like unclear and is just kind of like kneecapping people's livelihoods. Like you in some cases you just kind of have to do what you can, and it really sucks. Like it really sucks that is going on. But for now, For now, a few of the CGs are censored. I will point out which ones have been. But there are, I believe there are also like a few like QLL updates with this one. Anywho, I wanna whack these payment processors with a big steel bar. Sorry, my brain is like not working. I'm just gonna shut up and start playing the game. I'm pretty sure this is the one. Well, we'll see that CG in time. I gotta get in a reading mode. Hold on. Honey knelt alongside Emile before Queen Charlotte de Lucia, a cold pressure hanging over her body. To Honey, the throne room was ominous and harsh and carried an atmosphere totally different from that of the family home she knew. The distant private residence Honey frequented was bright and airy, filled with plants and artwork. In contrast, this room was crushing, as if the entire weight of the nation was bearing down on you and forcing you to your knees. Oh, the game audio might be a little... Oh yeah, game audio's really quiet. Let me boost that up a little bit. Alright, that should be better. But that might be actually true. In this space where history and ideals held physical weight. Magic retained only a fragment of its former glory, but it was the duchy's origin and identity, and it all flowed out from here to fill and shape its nation. An enormous ceremonial sword rested against Charlotte's throne, but it was with only a glance that she could remove someone's head from their body. Honey had only ever knelt before the queen on one previous occasion, when swearing her loyalty to the family and to protect her daughter Emile. Charlotte was a joyous and relaxed woman in private, leaving Honey with a grave feeling about whatever matter was so serious it required such ceremony and required Emile to be kneeling beside her. I like her little pout here. You may raise your heads, darlings, Queen Charlotte commanded. Honey looked up. The queen met her gaze with warmth, despite the severe occasion. She was something more than human. Her face was always fixed in a calm, welcoming smile. Like her daughter, she was absurdly tall, but her presence was something else entirely. She was the mother of the duchy, and everyone who spoke to her felt like a child. Your Majesty, Honey and Emile spoke in unison. I have an assignment for you, my precious daughter, Charlotte sang. Emile glared intensely at her mother, only nodding in response. You recently observed a particular lilac dragoon, the one that bested our dear Baron Grey. Do you recall it? Yes, Your Majesty. Stark yellow with pink accents named Honeybee. Quite a talented pilot, Emile recited. Wow, I cannot talk yet. I'll get there. What do you want with it? You are to bring me that pilot alive by any means necessary. Killing her is absolutely out of the question. Am I your errand girl? Emile muttered. Are you not a servant to the needs of the duchy? Charlotte smiled. And what does the duchy need with a single enemy pilot? Duties to be performed without question, and I trust you will maintain discretion in this matter. Understood, Your Majesty, Emile spat. Lady Rose of Marine, Charlotte smiled down at Honey. You are to assist my daughter in this task. I have high expectations for you. Yes, Your Majesty. I won't disappoint you, Honey intoned, placing a fist to her heart. I look forward to your success, both of you. Her Majesty has massive Sorry. That knocked my cock off. Honey sat with a cup of tea, gazing out onto the peaceful capital. Sorry, I'm like trying to remember my voice for a meal. It's been a while. She preferred coffee, though it wasn't considered very fitting for nobility. Tea was considered essential to the culture of nobility, but Honey could never tell the difference between any of it. She also took care to avoid mentioning that she preferred it with sugar and milk. Emile had taken Honey with her to a hotel in the capital, refusing as always to stay at the royal palace. Honey was used to these arrangements, and she spent most of her time with Emile in a constant state of travel. Honey watched Emile lean against the balcony outside. Sorry, trying not to burp into the mic. Her messy white and blue hair catching the breeze. Her tails flicked slightly in the manner of an annoyed cat, though with 6 of them, and gave an impression closer to a jellyfish. Something Honey had the small privilege of knowing was that only one of Emile's tails was real. The rest were the product of magic. Multiple tails were considered the divine birthmark of royalty, though it was actually something that they had invented themselves to distinguish their appearance. Honey sipped her tea, wondering if there was any way to tell which one was the real one. Something to think about the next time Emile let her brush them. Aren't you annoyed? Emile snarled, noticing Honey watching her as she returned to the room. What do I have to be so annoyed about? That we're being blamed. Are we? What do you mean, are we? Of course we're being blamed. It's some sort of penance for that stupid Baron's death, even though it was his failure right from the start. Just because I didn't stop him doesn't make me responsible for his idiotic decisions. I don't get that sense at all. Emile glared at her. And how do you figure that? Honey set down her glass, resting her cheek on her hand. Your mother described the pilot as a woman. What has that got to do with any of it? I took a look at my terminal. I couldn't find any records at all on that pilot, let alone a known gender. I knew she was a woman. Where did you hear that? You know, nobles' war stories over drinks. The kind you don't like to participate in, Emile jeered. A demure lilac pilot that can beat even the selected is how the story goes. Sounds like fun. Back on topic. Gray didn't seem to recognize her machine. The guard doesn't know her either. So, what I'm saying is, this isn't state business. And, I'm saying Gray isn't a factor at all. Consider that your mother wants her alive. I presented my record of the battle to the guard, which of course she is privy to. If anything, she's operating on her confirmation that this pilot, a subject of her personal interest, really exists. And who better to rely on for personal interest than the two of us? Emile's scornful expression began to falter. I suppose... But isn't... Emile, she's placing her trust in you, not punishing you. Emile pouted. She spoils you. I still don't like the idea of doing her dirty work. Honey raised her cup, content with having made her point. Emile continued to wander around the room, contemplating Honey's words before eventually conceding and falling cross-legged at Honey's feet. You've always been smarter than me, haven't you? Emile sighed. That's not true. Would you like some tea? It is. Don't change the subject. And yes, please and thank you. Honey poured her a cup of tea in an elegant, practiced motion. Emile didn't seem bothered by particular tastes either, but didn't like milk or sugar. You're smart. It just disappears when you talk to her. Can't argue with that, Emile sighed. You know, you're the only person in the universe who can interrupt me. Honey gave a light scoff, returning to her drink. Not to ruin the evening with talk of strategy, but how do you suggest we go about this? Emil asked. It's hard to say. The task of capturing any lilac pilot is difficult, Honey sighed. Because of their grotesque pilot interface systems, lilac pilots were more dangerous the more you cornered them. The value of snipers like Honey was in their ability to kill them before they could react, but in this particular instance, she was at a disadvantage. Emil tapped the side of her cup with a fingernail. Honey had always felt like she could see the gears physically begin to turn when Emil actually started thinking. Honestly, this can't be too complex. Get a spy to track her deployments. Fly in, hack off the limbs, grab the cockpit, and go. Emil ran off a short list. But still, I just don't see what makes her so important to my mother to have me go and do that. Is there anything that stands out in what you've heard? To be honest, she had a rather strange presence. Honey raised her glass. Do you recognize that lance she held? Emil looked up at Honey. I don't know. It's a suicide weapon. Emil spoke in a somber voice. What? Honey recoiled. I'm serious. The lilac reused everything, so I thought she could have simply picked it out of some debris without knowing its real use. But thinking along the lines that my mother would take an interest in battlefield trivialities, I'm beginning to think she was issued with it directly. This was when we were children. But one of the reasons the last so-called great offensive failed was because of those lances. They were given to inexperienced pilots and sent to fly directly into our ship's engines. Emil spoke in an empty tone. Essentially, that lance functions as a conduit from the Dragoon's reactor into the ships, causing a catastrophic meltdown for both. One relatively cheap Dragoon for one very expensive capital ship is a pretty good trade, no? What a disgusting tactic, Honey murmured. Emil sighed, looking up at the ceiling. The thing is, most of these pilots are children. The GI system can function at full capacity on a mind as young as 12. It actually performs even better with children. The tolerance for poor synchronization decreases with age. Of course, with the pilot that was sent out to die anyway, it didn't matter what the side effects were. These children who couldn't be useful pilots as adults were the perfect use case. Honey looked at her with disbelief. Why don't I know any of this? Does anyone else? It was completely suppressed. Emil looked up at Honey. Do you think our soldiers need to know that their enemies could be children? That look you're giving me is why we can't say anything now, Emil said with a smirk. This all came to a stop once the Navy adopted the Halo engine, and we regained our footing. Emil continued. Of course, this is all covered up on their end too. The Dragoons, Lances, and pilots, they were all erased by the nature of the operation itself. Winning a war is such dirty business, isn't it? Emil laughed cruelly. You think this pilot could have been one of those children? Honey murmured. It's a stretch, but if she survived this long, it would explain a lot. God knows why she's still fighting now, though. Or how, having been connected to that barbaric system for so long. There'd have to be a reason she wasn't put down after coming back alive from those missions, too. Why would she choose to hold on to such a weapon? I'd be quite interested in learning her thoughts, if I could. Emil pondered. But there has to be something else to this. If providing lilac If proving Lilac crimes could put an end to this war, we'd be there already. Their people would never believe it anyway, even if we put her up on a stage and made it public. I can't tell what value she's meant to have to us. But it was yep, child soldiers, baby. See you around. Thank you so much for dropping by. Thank you. Take care, Shireen. Honey stared out into the night sky. If she was thinking along the lines of what would make this woman so exceptional she caught the attention of the queen, then anything had to be on the table. A soldier that should be dead 1,000 times over. A soldier she took perfect aim at and survived. Honey wrung her hands. There was something the story reminded her of. If we're speculating, I'll say this. Honey began quietly. This pilot didn't display anything beyond a strong talent in her fight with Gray. But when I shot at her, I'm not sure if I missed or not. What do you mean? Emil asked. I held my tongue in the moment, and it's not like I can't miss. But it felt odd. I've made shots like that countless times before. You think she dodged it then? Honey nodded. Of course, mathematically speaking, such an act was physically impossible for a mere human. But for a soldier of the Duchy trained in the magic arts, the feat itself wasn't unthinkable, and its subtlety wasn't anything unusual. The fundamental rule of fighting with magic was to keep your cards close to your chest about your capabilities, and only show them to protect your life. Almost nobody knew Honey carried a blessing, meager as it was. The only problem with this theory was that it was impossible for anyone outside of the Duchy to either be blessed by the mother or selected by her descendants. To suggest even the possibility otherwise would be a rejection of the foundation of the Duchy's faith and the monarchy's divine right to rule altogether. However, if that pilot was simply born in the Duchy... If you say you didn't miss, far be it from me to doubt the nation's best sharpshooter. Emil gave a small chuckle. But the question of exactly how she could do such a thing, it's beyond me. It's beyond me to say. Looking at it like this is a rather troublesome loose end, isn't it? Emil muttered. Honey nodded, though troublesome didn't even begin to describe it. The simplest answer was an abducted member of nobility. There had been enough unsolved cases over the years. But how could she have ended up as a child soldier in the Lilac? It was the only possible solution, but it was too full of holes. Honey didn't enjoy thinking about either of their two worlds, but she wasn't ignorant of history. The people who had come to be known as the Duchy needed a miracle, and the Lilac have been fighting against miracles their entire existence. It was theologically impossible for magic to exist outside of the Duchy, but it was ideologically impossible for it to exist within the Lilac. If this pilot was a defected member of the Duchy, she'd either be dissected in a lab or hung in a public square, or both in that order. There wasn't a chance she'd be allowed into the military. There wasn't a chance she'd be allowed to even draw her next breath. That every blessed must be exterminated to the last, and that it is better for them to be dead than useful to the Lilac. That is their creed. All parasites must die, without exception, without remorse, without mercy. Her treatment would be the same even if she had somehow sprung forth from within the Lilac, though in already impossible circumstance. Their fervor on this fact had its equivalent in Honey's own duties, in the chimera she had put to death in the name of the Duchy. In each nation, there were beings that were simply not allowed to live. But then, what could she be? There had to be something else, something that neither Charlotte, Emil, or herself could even theorize. Wasn't she able to see? There was no sense speculating any further. The only thing to do was capture and examine this person. And, if there was the possibility of her being a threat to royalty, a threat to Emil, Honey would have no choice but to kill her before that could happen, regardless of the consequences. Honey lay beside Emil in the hotel bed. Gazing across at her, she watched Emil stare at the ceiling, lost in thought. Is it okay if I ask? Honey murmured quietly. It wasn't something she normally did, but if she could talk with Belle, then maybe. Huh? Sorry. It just seems like something's bothering you. It's just that I'm not very mature, am I? I mean, my instincts told me that my mother was trying to scold me in some roundabout way, or even trying to get me killed. But you saw things more clearly. I can't trust anyone, even her. I don't think that's a very admirable trait. Emil rolled onto her side, looking with embarrassment at Honey. I trust you, though. Completely. And dear Cecily, of course. Honey struggled to respond. When it came to her duties towards Emil, she could always speak directly and eloquently. But in discussing personal matters, she lost her focus. From Honey's perspective, having lost her own, it was a terrible thing for Emil to be unable to trust her mother. Beyond the sorrow of feeling distance from family, Charlotte was the one person Emil needed to feel understood by the most. No man is on an island. But where does that leave a being like Emil that stands apart from mankind? No one could see it but Honey. Royalty are our guardians, our leaders, descendants of our one true God. They were holy beings with divine right over the nation, but they looked just like you or I and walked among us as mortals. Beneath the bluster of the church and true believers, there was a quiet belief that they were like any other form of celebrity. For the nobility that wished to be the one to marry a princess like Emil, they were seen as desirable to love and be loved by as any other beautiful woman. They all wanted to be the one to tell them the deepest truth that they were just like them, and through relating to them, find their way into their heart. I keep yawning. I'm stretching out those vocal cords, baby. A calculated show of empathy was the winning ticket. What Honey truly understood, more than anyone else in the world, was that they were not human and nothing like a human. In all the world, there were any number of beings that could understand what it was like to be inside of Honey's skin, and none who could understand what it was like for Emil. Emil could not feel pain. Her emotions were not ingenuine, but only felt at her own permission. She could will herself to do anything or become anything, feeling or unfeeling as she pleased. The sweetest love and most unimaginable cruelty were both the same distance away from her. Emil was her short-tempered, headstrong, and boorish friend because those are the things she chose not to fight. Charlotte was a graceful, perfectly composed, and warm leader because those are the things she chose to embrace. But Emil and Charlotte were cut from the same cloth, and either one could become the other the moment they chose. When the species they can never be described as a species called royalty gives birth, it's an act of mitosis. Not a trace of their partner's DNA is shared. As far as Honey knew, it wasn't even needed in the process. The connection between humanity and royalty was completely and utterly severed, and every member of royalty was born of the same template. I'm grateful that you trust me. I trust you too, Honey stuttered, wanting to bury her face in her pillow. Emil laughed a little. You can be cute sometimes. Honey pouted and shifted deeper under the blanket. Thanks for asking, though. I'm trying to get better and communicating with people, Honey muttered, regretting it the moment she said it. But Emil didn't laugh. I could stand to do the same, honestly. Honey's body was frozen with nerves and embarrassment. We used to talk a bit more like this when we were younger. didn't we? Ani spoke quietly. We did, didn't we? Feels like all we get to do now is just work in the same room, Emil sighed. So it's nice to get to talk a little, Ani nodded. I worry about you sometimes. Sorry. I feel like I got quieter as an adult. When I was very young, before we met, I was really energetic. Oh goodness. What is happening? Ani pondered. I've been thinking about that recently. You're still a little like that when you explain things to me, for what it's worth, Emil mumbled sleepily. Is that how it seems? Yeah. It's a nice side to see of you. I see. I don't think you're immature, by the way. That's reassuring to hear from you. Is it? You don't flatter anyone, least of all me, I suppose. That's why I can only trust you. Emil smiled. Honey felt a stab of guilt run through her. She didn't deserve to be an exception. She had her own selfish desires for Emil, just like everyone else. I'm not sure I deserve such praise. I'm the one who gets to decide what everyone in this world deserves. Emil laughed. Kidding. Don't say such worrisome things. Really though, you are allowed to have some more pride. I'm not sure it's really in my nature. At the very least, I do want to see you enjoying yourself more. I think I have been a bit lately. Oh? I've been going out a bit more. I met a girl a while ago. We've gone a little closer lately. Is she cute? Emil asked eagerly. It's not like that, Honey mumbled. Emil's closeness made her anxious. How is it then? She's a friend, and, well, it's not how you meant it, but she is cute. I think cute is the best word to describe her. She's the type who puts a lot of effort into being cute. She carries a stuffed animal with her and holds my hand. We're the same age, I mean. Huh. I didn't expect you to go for that kind of person. I'm not really sure what kind of person I like, but, well, I like that she's sincere in who she is. She's very kind. I'd like to meet her. Anyone you would call a friend must be interesting. Honey glanced away. It'd have to be discreetly. I'm not sure if being put in the spotlight like that would be good for her. Emil's ears flattened. Oh, of course. I understand. Do you know the Katzbalkers well? Ah. She's their bastard, isn't she? Yes. I don't use such a vulgar word. Sorry. But I see then. Do you know her? Not directly. You know how these things go. I visited the family a few times with Mother. Every time I was at their manor, she was nowhere to be seen. Oh. Well, that aside, I'm happy you're meeting people. You are? I don't really think it's good for you to stay holed up in that house. And, well, to be selfish, it's a bit of a relief on me. That Emil trailed off. Honey looked at her anxiously. She never knew how to talk about this. I just lost you because of work. Thank you for coming though. I'm glad you were able to catch it now. We're here. We're living in the now. We're living in the here, right now. Right about now, the Funk Soul brother, Fatboy Slim. Welcome in. Emil sighed. I'm happy for your sake. I really am. Sorry, we should get some sleep. You can say what's on your mind. Emil pouted, angry at herself. What's there to say? I'm glad I haven't fucked up your life completely. I can't say such selfish things. You decide on your own to stay by my side. It's insulting for me to complain. Emil rolled over, facing away from Honey. I don't have the right to complain about anything. But it's all I ever do. This might be my favorite. Yes. Votive is so gorgeous. I've actually like had a couple like complete like fic writing sections, the fic writing sessions where I was like just listening to this track. It's so gorgeous. Such a super gorgeous track. I want to listen to those complaints, though, Honey said quietly. Emil looked back at Honey, confused. You're my dearest friend, Honey continued. So, I always wanted to listen to you. That's all there is to it. Emil hesitated, then laughed a little. I don't have anything I can say back to that. Allow me to continue being a brat, then. We really do need some sleep, though. Honey nodded. Good night, Emil. Good night, Honey. I really do love you. All of you. Even that brat aside. Oh, cracking my back major style. Yeah! I still can't get over how cool Ayani's posters are. Like, I think if I ever was like making like somebody's room, I would like want to hit up a bunch of friends like, hey, can I just put your art on this character's walls? Like, I'd totally do that. I think that fucking rules. Like, I do want to do that at some point, depending on what I make. Gio lay staring at the ceiling of Ayane's bedroom. She wasn't sure how much she had slept, if at all. Hold on. My volume might be a little high. Turn that down a little bit. Okay, there we go. Like Ayane said, it really was baby's first sleepover. As an adult, she'd never even been inside a friend's room. When she was in the early learning center, the rooms were all shared, but they weren't friends. She had no lasting friends in school. When she left to start work, all her co-workers were over twice her age. Working in space was unusual for an early teen, but she needed a lot of money, fast. She knew that, more than anything, she needed a lot of money right now! She had slept in her boyfriend's room, but it wasn't like this. Ayane really was kind to her. She wasn't just killing time or speaking to someone just because they happened to be there. Shio had been filled with doubt about her, but there was nothing else she could call it but friendship for them to be laying together like this. Ayane could have just ditched Shio in her room. She didn't need to get her dinner, or brush her hair, or do anything to look after her. She watched the cartoons she liked with her. She teased her all the time about her childishness, but had spent the night indulging her in it. These were all things that reassured her, but they didn't help Shio relax. The feeling of being liked by someone was overwhelming. She wanted to spend more time with Ayane like this. They really were friends. The prospect was so exciting and made her mind race with both thoughts of the future together and the fear of disappointing her. Everything about the inside of Shio's brain felt too mortifying to be seen. She'd slept like this beside Ayane without telling her she still wet the bed sometimes. Her entire existence felt humiliating. But something about Ayane made Shio feel like even that wouldn't bother her. She'd tease her, probably a lot, but Ayane wasn't cruel. There was definitely no way Shio could bring herself to tell her she had to wear a diaper to bed, though. Or most days in general. Shio rubbed her face and suppressed a groan at herself. This cycle of examining her own embarrassing existence had been going on for what felt like hours. She squeezed the teddy bear Ayane had given her sleep with. Shio usually woke up holding Fufi. nuzzling her and squeezing her against her face. Ayane didn't find her dependence on Fufi to be anything shameful. Gio shifted upright, resting her chin on her knees. It was definitely morning. The artificial light was creeping in through the kitchen window, just like in her own room. She'd forgotten all about being on a military base, and that her duties would probably begin in just under an hour. The military, with all its rules and restrictions, particularly on the relations between soldiers. Was a soldier really allowed to sleep outside of their room? Or have guests? Was she going to be in trouble today? So long as no one found out, then, as if on cue, a sharp noise rang out through the small room. The worst possible sound she could have heard at that moment. There was someone at the door. Another soldier. I am caught in bed with Ayane, another woman. This is seen as homosexual fraternization. I say something in the trial that makes it worse because I'm a fucking idiot. I am executed by firing squad. Ayane, wake up. There's someone at the door. Gio hissed at her. You get it, Ayane groaned, rolling over. I can't. Sure you can. I'm dead meat. Gio, are you in there? A familiar voice called out. Susie? this friend is so whoopy. Gio scrambled to the door, hitting the unlock button. Gio is so sick. I'd need to like squish her with one hand, but like in a nice way. Good morning, ma'am. Gio stammered. Good morning? Are you all right? Susie looked down at the sweating ensign with concern. I'm fine. Those are some cute PJs, Susie laughed. Thank you. Gio hung her head. Sorry. It's breaking the rules for me to be here, isn't it? What? Not really. I figured you'd be sleeping here. Sorry for ringing so much, Susie giggled. It's just that Midorikawa here typically refuses to answer. Oh. Has she been looking after you? Yes. I'm doing a fantastic job, Ayane mumbled from the bed. Good. How are you feeling? I'm well, I think. Excellent. Now, sorry to put you back to work, but we still needed a brief. Oh, yes, of course. I'll get dressed. It isn't right now, Susie laughed. I just came here to give you the PTC and make sure you're feeling okay. Oh, thank you. Gio took the card from Susie. Placetime cards were a simplified form of written order for pilots. Or, better put, an idiot-proof system for these stupid, untrained people who lucked into being pilots. As the name suggested, it was simply a piece of cards stamped by an officer with a room number and a time to be presented at the gates. Every time she was given one, Gio couldn't help but think how much more efficient it could all be done digitally. Don't pilots get the day off after a flight? Ayane teased, rising to meet the lieutenant. If requested, Susie corrected, smiling brightly. I'm okay. All right, I've got things to attend to. I do hope you'll make it to class, Ayane. Yeah, sure, Ayane huffed. Take care, you two. Thank you, Gio nodded. As soon as Susie closed the door behind her, Gio let out a loud sigh. I remember you mentioned Blue Period last when I was screaming. Yes! Yes! I fucking love Blue Period! I probably talked about this, I probably mentioned this specific thing when I was talking about Blue Period because it's usually the thing that I talk about when it comes to Blue Period. But, like, Blue Period is the thing that, like, got me to start, like, really putting my all back into art and really, like, trying to make more. Because I would be drawing much more occasionally, like once or twice a month. And then I don't know. Like Blue Period was just it's special. It's a very special manga to me, and is like led to like personal growth for me, and it's fantastic. If folks, please read Blue Period. It's really good. I think everybody who is an artist or has an interest in art should read Blue Period, and I mean that. It's so fucking good. Oh, she saw me dressed like this. Gio whined, sitting back down on Ayane's bed. Hi, Wraith. Hi, hi, hi. Hi, welcome in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You made your onesie, and now you've got to sleep in it. That's barely a joke. You're barely a joke. Hey! I'm sure I gave you some points with her. She's the doting type. I don't know how to feel about that coming from a superior officer. I mean, she is straight. At least I think so. That's not what I meant. I won't go back to bed, Ayane whined. You've got assembly in a half hour, Gio sighed. You'd have to hold a gun to my head to make me show up for that shit. Gio wrung her hands. I don't want to get in trouble. It's cute how green you are. I'll report you for hazing, Gio said with a pout. I'm too pretty. I can worm my way out of anything. Like showing up for assembly. Also, hey, we got off early today, yeah? Wanna go shopping after? What for? We can get your suit sorted. I know a good place. You'll get picked on if you leave it naked. Oh, yeah! That'd be great. We'll pick out a phone for you, too. Yeah. I'm gonna get dressed. You sure you aren't coming? Nope. Have fun. I totally forgot to ask, how is everybody doing today? I was so flustered, like streaming for like no reason. I was in yammer mode, and I was just like in my whole fucking own fucking world. But I hope you're all doing well today. Susie greeted Gio with a smile. Good morning. Though I guess I've already said that. Morning. How was breakfast? Susie asked. Oh, my stomach still isn't feeling very good. I had a little bit of toast. Well, it should clear up soon. Your first connection is always the worst one, don't worry. I think I just woke up like 15 minutes ago. Hashtag responsible. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you're doing it too. Yeah, I think so. I'm doing pretty good. I finally did some like reference work that I'd been meaning to do for a while. So I'm very glad that I got that work out of the way after not doing it for way too long. She sounds kind of disappointed. Anyway, normally this kind of debriefing is done with an engineer, but no one is available at the moment. I had someone lined up for today, but they were reassigned. Susie sighed. Oh, I'm sorry if I messed up the schedule yesterday. Gio, test flights always account for adverse reactions. Don't worry about it. Sorry. Full interview for your machine's performance will come later, but in the meantime, you can give me a written report. Is that okay? Of course! Totally okay. It's not okay! I'm really stupid! Hold my hand! I don't like writing! What comes next is getting your machine properly fitted and painted. We'll have a meeting with a designer for that. That seems a bit... Susie laughed. Excessive? It is. But Dragoons are a symbol, whether we like it or not. I saw the model of yours. Don't remind me, Susie groaned. Anyway, oh, I forgot. You haven't had any nosebleeds since yesterday, have you? No? Okay, that's good. Susie sighed, breathed a sigh of relief. Now, have you put any thought into a name for your Dragoon? Not yet. Thinking of its appearance in the hangar, Gio was at a loss. I'm not sure where to start, honestly. It has to be something fairly easy to say. 3 syllables or under. My advice is whatever word comes into your head when you look at it. Gio nodded emphatically. I see. I'll give it some thought. Take your time. You won't need it until a deployment. Yeah. You know, what we're told as officers is most young pilots' receiving their Dragoon is this grand moment, a symbol of status, esteem, recognition, or power. They will want to ask about how they can paint it, how they can arm it, how fast it can be made to fly, and so on. But for you, what do you think when you see it? I think I'm a little scared of it, but it's kind of comforting, too, Gio murmured softly. Susie smiled down at her. It's an enormous weight, isn't it? It is. A weapon is a weapon, and we're only soldiers by circumstance. I know you understand that. But our lives depend on caring for these machines. Gio nodded. I'm in charge of negotiating for our squadron's material budget. If you tell me what you'd like to have fitted, I can try to make a case for it. Do some research on equipment to get a better understanding of Dragoon design, and think about your own capabilities. Of course, as a provisional squadron, we aren't exactly a high priority, so keep your expectations very measured. I have to ask, then, about Shima's Dragoon. Unfortunately, that's something even I can't stick my nose in. But, yes, just from looking at it, that thing costs as much as the rest of the squadron put together. As far as I'm concerned, she's just being tasked with testing prototype systems. We can talk about it since it concerns us, as our squad mates. But don't ask around her, okay? I think you have a good sense for these things. Pilots are only officers by name. There are things we aren't meant to know about, but are exposed to by circumstance. Even just what's inside the cockpit computer is considered classified information. Dismantling a GI can get you executed. Gio bristled at hearing that word. Yes, of course. Now, as for our squadron's formation, myself and Major Valentine are on point. Susie presented a pile of documents riddled with diagrams. Make sure to study these. Your GI will know what to do with the information. As I said yesterday, Midorikawa is in the rearmost position. Her machine is fitted with long-range radar, visual sensors, and communication equipment. She provides her signaling and reconnaissance, as well as long-range anti-ship fire. In addition, her machine is able to pick up on signal traffic from the enemy. Oh my god. Holy shit. My notification for that is so loud. Oh my god, that jump scared me. I gotta... Just the volume of that. No, it's totally fine. Thank you so much. That's my bad. That's my bad. Thank you so much for the raid. I hope you are all doing well. Welcome, welcome. I am playing. I just came for Supinski. Yes! Yes! I love Signals! Yes! I hope everyone's doing well. I was about to ask what you streaming. Yes, Signalis is like I've been like feeling so crazy about Signalis. But I think that's just like a thing that hasn't changed because I've been kind of insane about Ignalis for like over a year. Most of my art last year was just Signalis. Yeah. Anyways. Look, hi Oomphy. Oh my god, hi. It's great having no conflict still. Yes. Oh my god. There'll be people that will like interact with like tweets on my like pieces I made on like my alt account, and they're like, "Oh, this makes me want to play Signalis more." And I'm just like, I'm sorry, but there is unfortunately the content of the images that you are viewing are not going to be found in the game, unfortunately, and I apologize. I won't speak at length of what are in those images, but that content is not in the game canonically. What are you talking about? Found the robot. I love robot estrogen. If I could get like a big bottle of that, I'd be chugging that. I would chugging that crazy style. But yes, thank you so much. Welcome in. Thank you. Yeah, I'm playing funny, silly, Yuri Mecha War Crimes Child Soldiers game. I love war crimes. We went past the scene where they were talking about how there was an experimental division of child suicide soldiers. It's crazy. Coquette's a lot. I love this visual novel. Also, again, if any of my audio levels are like kind of wonky, I am using a new microphone, and I'm trying to get used to all the levels for that. So if anything sounds like quiet or too loud, do let me know. I'm only gonna get there through trial and error. Child soldiers, adult, yeah, exactly. Yes, that's Gio. Your position will be in front of Midorikawa, providing covering fire for myself and Valentine, and protecting her from attackers trying to close in. I see. But, for our ranks, isn't this... Shima won't fight with anything but her lance, Susie said, and then grinned slightly. And I quite like my sword. It's usually the officer's job to fill Ayane's role, but she's far better suited to the task than fighting directly. You wouldn't guess it, but her skill with ballistics calculation is the real thing. A low score doesn't negate that. And even a low-scoring pilot is an expert at signal intelligence. As for myself, I know my position is the riskiest one. I don't hold a candle to Valentine, but I do have my pride as an ace. Gio nodded. It's our duty to protect one another. I really do believe in that. I won't let you down either, Gio affirmed. With your score, he'll be an ace in no time. I don't doubt you at all, Susie said, offering her another smile. Yeah. We'll do another short training flight tomorrow afternoon. Of course, you don't exactly need it, but I'd still like to get you adjusted to the system quickly. Gio nodded. I was actually hoping I could do another... Sorry, I choked. I'm gonna have to run down at one point and get myself some more water. I'm not bringing up water. As their conversation continued on the minutiae of Gio's new role as a pilot, Gio's mind fixated on a single thought. She had wanted to call Susie kind, but didn't feel like the right word for it. She didn't even know if the right word existed. The things Susie had laid out so plainly were difficult to grasp the entirety of. She called it the pride of an ace, but her assignment of roles was so utterly selfless. Ayane's score was dismal. She was assigned a cheap, fragile mech only fit for reconnaissance. But what kind of officer just decides to let someone off of having to fight? It was Susie's nature to take on additional work to cover for the flaws of a subordinate. But this was life or death. And this whole time, she'd already been fighting like this just for Ayane's sake. A girl Susie did not even particularly like, who took none of her duties seriously at all. Any other commander would leave her for dead. Gio was a better pilot than Ayane and Susie on the basis of score alone. She knew she had the skill to fight in a melee, but even still, Susie placed herself in front of Gio. She'd always seen Susie as a kind-hearted leader, and now Gio questioned if she deserved to be in her presence at all. Ayane stood waiting for the elevator with a donut in hand, cursing her cruel fate of having to be anywhere or do anything. Having forgotten where she left her timetable, she had gone out to harass a clerk for a new one, only to find out she was already late for her first class of the day. Gio was probably already there waiting for her. Figuring it was better late than never, in terms of her punishment, she reluctantly made her way to the train station, though not without first passing through the cafeteria for snacks. As she rounded the corner towards the exit, she noticed a small figure hovering by the hall close to the library. You little shit, Ayane muttered, stomping towards Fufi. Ayane glanced towards the library doors. So this is where you've been hiding. Aren't you busy? Fufi glanced pointedly at the timetable wrapped around the donut in Ayane's hand. Not at all. What are you doing? Research. On? Honorable discharges and pensions, Fufi monotoned. Sounds good. You want to set me up with one too? Gio shouldn't be here. Is that what you're so pissed off at her about? I'm not pissed off about anything, Fufi protested. Then why are you avoiding her? It's none of your business. I am her friend. You don't know anything about her. Sure. I don't, really. Ayane took a bite of her donut. But she's pretty upset without you. Can't you just talk to her? Go to class. You're no fun at all. Ayane sighed and continued walking on. You take another sip. Yo, pipes are getting dry. Sheila held her backpack straps as she followed the crowd of black and yellow uniformed ensigns towards the campus. Ayane hadn't been at the station, and she was too scared to risk being late waiting for her. But she already missed her. Her body temperature spiked as she thought again about how it felt to sit in her lap, Ayane's hands running through her hair. Love to go to war crime school. Yeah! I love war crimes. Shaking her head, Gio steeled herself to enter the school grounds to face another day of lectures and study. The colorful buildings of the Lilac Cavalry Academy loomed over their surroundings. A gaudy statue of a Dragoon posted the lilac flag proudly stood guard in front of the main building. Of course, since there was no real wind inside these residential sectors of the Zephyranthes, the esteemed flag of the Lilac Fleet hung limp and unrecognizable. Oh yeah. Gio's kind of a disaster gay. There was no need for a flag like this to exist at all in a windless nation. It was here solely for the sake of the dreams of soldiers and politicians. The dream where it would finally be planted into the earth of the duchy capital. But after centuries of fighting, such a thing had never taken place, and the act depicted in the statue remained a fantasy. While those officers dreaming of victory were the most detestable class of all, in becoming a pilot, Gio had found herself placed among them. Ensign was a unique title, given only to new pilots. The most junior of all commissioned officers, essentially a position not yet qualified to hold a real officer's authority, but still placed above the enlisted ranks. For anyone else, the process of making it to such a position took years of training and veterancy. And all Gio had to do was take a few tests and sign a pile of forms. For these ensigns, the purpose of these schools was to eventually turn these paper officers into the real thing. A high-ranking Dragoon pilot had commanded over entire companies of Dragoons, warships, and other forces. The GI system combined with education and experience would turn a human into a powerful battlefield computer. While Susie was her commander, in a larger deployment, she and her squadron would be subordinate to a much higher-ranked pilot. As Gio understood more about these ranks, the question of how Shima attained the title of major, and yet was still subordinate to a mere lieutenant, continued to nag at the back of her mind. Gio hesitated at the base of the statue, hoping to catch sight of Ayane running behind her. The suburban world of this ship was white and piercing. It was like making an entire world out of a hospital. Everything polished to a mirror sheen, reflecting the harsh wall of light above. When she breathed in, it felt like she could taste disinfectant. But on top of the familiar ship smells were other unfamiliar scents. Plants, gravel, tarmac, brick and wood. Everything felt so foreign. When she looked out into the distance, the world seemed to spin, unease gripping her. Her eyes weren't used to this light, weren't being able to see so far. She could pick out the members of the crowd that were like her from their awkward pace, awed at the sights that were so mundane and boring to anyone born here. Seeing these other outsiders was crushing. It was proof she was visible too. Why did it bother her so much? A pilot was a pilot. So long as she wore this uniform, she belonged. She just felt it herself, how strong she was in her Dragoon. She was untouchable to these people. A pilot was superior to a rifleman, a mechanic, a crewman, a doctor, a teacher, a civilian. It didn't matter anymore to anyone where she came from, only the particulars of her mind that assigned a strategic value to her existence. But it was all conditional. Getting permission to live here didn't change that this world was made of the deserving and the undeserving. This was still the camp of the enemy, and more she found herself disturbed by her peers. Shima was silent, and Ayane and Suzy both expressed their distaste for this conflict in their own ways. It was obvious now this provisional squadron and the special division itself was a dumping ground for the uncooperative and unpatriotic. The majority of pilots around her wore patch-covered jackets over their uniforms, showing off their affiliations, glory won in campaigns, or even kill counts. They all carried the same eerie grin. To these people, this war was the best thing that ever happened to them, and they wouldn't let it end before they had their fill. As she stood amidst these bloodthirsty pilots, she could hear snippets of the stomach-churning conversations as they passed. Right into the cockpit. Wish I could have seen the look on his... And the explosion was wicked. Still wiping the guts off of the blade. Piece of shit was big, can you believe? When you shoot infantry, they just go pop like that. Those pilots who spent all day with a smile on their face. Wouldn't it be nice to just get rid of them all right here? The thought crossed her mind that maybe this was why she hadn't been given a gun yet. The GI reads her mind too. Was there someone sifting through the output? She rubbed her temples. That was a delusion. Thoughts can't be quantified in a text by any machine, even that one. It's natural to be stressed under surveillance, she told herself. She stopped her thoughts again. That was another delusion. Gio wiped the sweat from her face on her sleeve, ducking her head as she passed through the academy doors and keeping her eyes fixed to the ground. Yeah, this shit is like... This shit's got some oomph to it. It's really got some oomph. It's like, it's so... Like, the razor's edge that is Coquette's writing is sharp in its remarks, and it speaks with this hold on, I can't, like, my words are like not coming out of my mouth. If you give me like 10 minutes and like I thought of how to like word this stuff better, I'll get back to you. It's good. Where is the fuck? 9 billion dead lilacs and duchies. Remember this always. You pilots are the flag bearers for the lilac forces. The morale and valor of the pilots reflects that of the entire nation. Cowardice is the one and only sin for a pilot. As an instructor to new pilots, I'm asked one question more than any other now. How do I fight against a parasite? Killing these monsters is our one role in the battlefield. The cavalry frame, the GI, and this academy were all built for that purpose. I'm sure I don't need to give examples of the parasite's capabilities, but pilots must always remember that its greatest threat is purely psychological. Confusion and decision paralysis are more lethal than any weapon. It's a saying as old as history itself. All warfare is based on deception. For instance, the anti-rain field projected by your own craft cannot be easily perceived, and without a sufficient scientific understanding, it might as well be magic. A Dragoon couldn't even lift its own weight relying on purely mechanical strength. We live in an era where the technology around us cannot be understood without a specialized education, and our understanding of the parasite must fit into this framework. It is not magic. We are not fighting an enemy we cannot comprehend, and as evidenced by the current state of the war, their so-called power has not offered any meaningful advantage over our own courageous forces. Think of their ill-fated living weapons program. Just as you find these creatures of no man's land to be erratic and uncontrolled, the parasite of the duchy fares no better against simple cold steel. And, as you can infer from the use of the word parasite, this power is in no way desirable. To be infected in the process they call selection is to give up one's free will in the very foundation of the self. To describe the makeup of the Duchy of Lucia, one can look to a colony of ants. Gio heard the soft clatter of the lecture hall doors, followed by Ayane sneaking down the aisle, planting herself beside Gio. What do you have? A trauma response, the unfathomable bloodlust trauma response. Yeah. When you were getting motorboated with these two responses at once. I think this will just to another authority's bad. Risky gambit. Throw their eggs in the basket there with that one. Welcome in, Cybernetic. Welcome, welcome. I hope you are doing well today. Never failed us yet! What are we learning? Ayane asked as she rifled through her backpack. About parasites. Ayane rolled her eyes. Oh, good. No notes needed. Covering her mouth with one hand, Gio whispered, This was for real, right? Ayane only shrugged. I mean, I kind of thought it was all little, just something to make them sound scary, Gio muttered. Ayane curled her lip, leaning against her hand in thought for a short while. I think it's more that we're trying to pretend it isn't real. Your foul alien parasites are glorious politicians. Yes! Gio followed a yawning Ayane. I like that. A yawning Ayane out of the lecture hall. She rubbed the back of her head, trying to connect everything together. In her hands were worksheets and documents on things she couldn't believe, all presented so casually. Magic was real, and she'd only see it in the moment before it killed her. What was rumor, what was propaganda, and what was reality? Our enemy is so far beyond our understanding. And this is how we're reacting? This is all too much. Living biological weapons? She'd heard any number of tall tales over the years. Crystalline serpents devouring wayward astronauts who ventured too deep into the debris field. Those stories she thought of as utterly fictional. Ayane lit a cigarette. Those are real. Not there are many left now. We gave life to those cute little plush toys, so of course we'd give it to something worse. Gio reflected on the debris field she'd been in only yesterday. Was this the vague enemy her mind was trying to reach? I guess I just thought those were stories to scare kids. Or something. Gio held her hand out for Ayane's lighter. Truth and military secrets are stranger than fiction, Ayane said, lighting Gio's cigarette for her instead. I love Gio's neon pink cigarettes. They're like kind of my favorite thing. Whenever I'm like talking about Coquette and like its mix of aesthetics as well as themings. I'm like, there's this sweet little cute bunny, absolutely adorable, and she smokes cigarettes while thinking about the horrors of war, and she also looks adorable. She's really cute. Did I mention that? Pink washing my nicotine addiction. Hi, Camo. I hope you're doing well today. That got me. Magic, selection, all that. It's real. It's all real too. It's not really all that deep though. I'd be more scared if they had atom bombs, or if we did. Gio stared at the papers in her hands. No one ever talked about the duchy and the fringes. They were the wealthy, unknown enemy, but so was the rest of the lilac. No one knew anything. Everyone just wanted to quietly get by however they could. Joining the military was a death sentence no one returned from. Have you ever seen one? A parasite? Gio asked quietly. Just the one. A Hiroshima killed him in a heartbeat. Really, though. Most of them aren't anything special. It's like... Ayane held her cigarette out like a pointer. Royalty, selected, children of the selected. It gets weaker as it's passed down. Most of the selected are all generals and politicians, and it's their dumb kids that actually get in the Dragoons. Which, duh. Of course, if you're that important, you're never going anywhere near the front lines. Apparently, them are just born like that at random. They're called blessed, though they don't have very strong powers. That's like a 1 in a million, though. Gio rifled through her papers. None of that is in here. How do you know this? I read about it on patrols. Oh, thank you. It's who followed. Santaroa, thank you so much for following. I appreciate it. Enjoy your stay. Are you doing solidly? I haven't read the update yet. First read through, or did you praise feed for recently? So I've read all of Coquette before. I've done this. This is all reread for me, including the newest update. From Princess. Thanks for staying. I appreciate it. Yeah, this would actually be my third read, I think. Not that I think of it. But I really enjoy rereads, especially of things I really like this. Coquette, I very much enjoy. And like I feel like I get something new out of like every read. So I am reading this and speaking as an already existing fan of Coquette. None of this is like brand new to me, but like reading through it and like kind of like further getting it into my noggin, I'm very much enjoying. And also I just like reading things, and I like reading things I also particularly enjoy. And I hope you are all enjoying me reading it. I mean you're all here. So I assume you are at least having a neutral to positive time. Visual novels, I love a visual novel. I love visual novels. I love making visual novels. I need to read more visual novels. I feel like I read something pretty good. New mic is my answering absolutely. Yes. Yeah, I'm so happy with this thing. The mic I just got, if anyone's curious, it's the AM8T Fifine. Very affordable. It's like less than $100. And it has both USB and XLR output. I'm using the USB input right now, so if I had if I had an audio interface, this would sound like even better. So that's pretty cool. Big recommend on this. I felt like I was going to look at something. Oh yeah, hold on. A cool little indie visual novel I read recently that I really liked. If I can find it. Hold on, give me 1 second. I'm clicking all of the wrong things right now. Damn it. I'll get there eventually. Hold on. You know what? No, that's not what I want. Why am I having there we go. This here was a cool little short visual novel. If you like We Know the Devil, I feel like you'll like this one. I like all the visuals for this. I like the feel of the writing. It's a very short visual novel, like 7,500 words. It uses like cultish and religious themings, and like the way the writing is it has this like it has like a very like mysterious, I feel like is too weak of a word for me to use. And the name of this is God is in the Radio, by the way. It's excellent. I really enjoyed this read. I need to read more by Catskid. It's good stuff. I really enjoyed that. I'll now continue on with Coquette, Dragoon, ASMR read. It's not ASMR. I read about on patrols. I've got some crazy sensor equipment. I wrote some code to get into the Dutchy internet through their cellular network. It downloads encyclopedias, forums, social networks, and stuff. And I filter it by some key phrases, etc. You can't feed it into the data pump, but I can read it out the old-fashioned way. It's a nice way to kill time out there. You can do all that from a Dragoon? Ayane shrugged. Don't ask me how. I don't know that much about computers without a GI. I don't have a good score either, so it's hard to remember how I do it. Huh. I can't get a good enough connection to get many images, but their text is interesting enough. Some of the stuff you find in their SNS is pretty weird. Like, there's like kin culture and fanfic about their own nobility. I'm a little sad you just assumed I knew what those words mean. Geo sighed. Any fun baby Geokins? Shut up. Or present ones? God, no. Ayane laughed. It fucking kills me every time. Excuse me. Ayane laughed. But yeah, it's sort of funny. The internet is the same everywhere, I guess. My impression of our enemy is doing another 180. Gio muttered as she rubbed her head. They've even got accounts on their websites. Makes me wonder how many random accounts I see over here are really from the Dutchy. What username do you use? Gio asked. Roadkill Girl. Same as everywhere else. Ayane replied, clearly unashamed. I love that. Roadkill Girl. Thanks, culture. That was cool when I was 13. I stand by it. Right. Ayane took a short drag. I did learn something interesting, though. There hasn't been a selection for over 20 years. Normally, it's around every 5. The fastest it's been is once a year. That seems like a pretty big deal, right? You'd have to think so, yeah? Selection, it isn't brainwashing. They'd revolt if it was. But it does change people. And it passes down to your kids, too. It's kind of just a simple reward structure. You do big, do well. Win big in the army, maybe the government will give you a little something. Sound familiar? That's what I mean. They want so badly they'd kill for it. So how does this noble class feel about their queen no longer handing out treats? There's something weird going on over there. There's only so much you can figure out from snapshots of public internet archives. Text only, too. And it's strange we aren't talking about it over here. Wouldn't it be a good thing for us if they stopped doing selections? Recalling Susie's words, Gio quickly glanced around and then leaned closer. Are we meant to talk about this? Relax. Bots are expected to know some things. Just, keep your mouth shut. Susie gave you the same warning as me, I take it. Gio laughed at herself. Am I that easy to read? Can't say it's not good advice. Yeah. Gio ran her gaze across the surrounding soldiers as she followed behind Ayane. What were their impressions of the lecture they'd been given just now? Why does it feel like I'm the only one so freaked out by all of this? Gio muttered. Well, Ayane approached a vending machine, looking it over up and down before she kicked it at the base to see if anything was going to fall out. Denied a free treat, she clicked her tongue in disappointment. It's different in the education, I guess. The duchy, parasites, all that. It's all drilled into school. It's all drilled into you in school here. In the fringes, school is just preparation for work. Ayane began counting coins in her hand. At least, that's how I've heard it told. No, that's completely right, Gio sighed, leaning against the wall beside her. Not too different here, but they are pretty interested in teaching us about the war, the duchy, all that. Unless we're told about it. The war might as well have never existed. The hull of the ship has never been breached, Ayane said coldly, crouching down to look at the bottom row of drinks. This ship is big enough to be a whole world of people. No one born here has any reason to willingly step outside of it either. We all grow up being told over and over again about the violent enemy and the cold recesses of space waiting outside, and what's necessary to prevent it all from coming in here. Gio nodded. It made sense. They couldn't be motivated by circumstances like those in the fringes. They had to be motivated by ideology. Hoorah! And here I am, cast out of heaven. Ayane said, laughing at herself. If I die for this random place, it'll be all too fucking tragic. Gio could only take a drag from her cigarette in response. Sorry, I'm just being bitter. Ayane moaned. Those lectures give me migraines. It's all the same. They lie to our face and we just have to take it and pretend it's fine. They can't teach us how to fight a parasite. All they can do is try and convince these stupid kids that it's worth jumping into the meat grinder. The real thing can cut a battleship in half with just a sword. that was me doing Ayane's little chopping. I did that with my for real hand too, like a doofus. Ayane made a chopping motion with her hand to illustrate. You run into something like that, I'm not fighting it. Ayane sighed. Enough morbidity. You want a drink? I'm good, Gio replied quietly. Relax. Ayane snickered at Gio's towncaster expression. You'd already be going to jail just for not reporting anti-patriotic speech. It's not that, Gio sighed. I just don't like drinking anything before getting on the train. I used to be anxious about that when I was like 6. The pair of ensigns squeezed through the train doors among a crowd of soldiers. Gio made her best effort to look for an empty seat with no luck. She was far too short to comfortably reach the hand grips for standing passengers. The sides of a Here, Ayane grabbed Gio's shoulder, looking down at her with a laugh. Thanks, Gio said, pouting as she wrapped around Ayane's arm. It's okay. You'll hear growth spurt one day. Most people get off at the next stop anyway. Or we could bully some old lady out of a priority seat. Don't do that, Gio stammered. Scaring you is way too easy. Gio pouted again, facing away from her. Sure enough, the crowd had thinned out as they arrived at the interchange, the groups of soldiers splitting off into their own train lines. Even if it was at the bottom of the food chain, Special Division at least had the small perk of the barracks being on the same line as the school. Gio rested on her knees beside Ayane on their newfound seats, her eyes fixed on the world outside. Suburbs, skyscrapers, shipyards, parks, farming fields, views that were flat and sprawling, or buildings layered on top of each other as densely as possible. Each internal wall of the ship separated one world from another. every one of them larger than any ship Geo had ever lived on before. As Ayane said, the ship had never been breached. War had never touched this place. Never in her entire life had she seen such a thing. In her work, every hole she ran her hands across was pockmarked and bruised. Every interior had been reconstructed 3 times over. So much of the ship was still foreign and unseen to her. So much of it only existed for her to pass through like this. She had never set foot in any of these places, and probably never would. It was scary to think she was now living in a place so vast she could never live long enough to see all of it. The pink blur of fields every now and then prompted her to lean forward in rapt study. Even as an outsider, she knew all about them. The lilacs of the lilac fleet, the blood coursing through this nation. Like turning lead into gold, these flowers turn anything compostable into a substance volatile enough to fuel ship reactors. The beating heart of her Dragoon was filled with these flowers. The propellant inside the cases of her rifle ammunition was made from these flowers. The world inside the ship only had light because of these flowers. The food she had so childishly been avoiding was, once again, the product of these flowers. Forever growing, always in bloom, harvested day and night, with minimal effort, scarcity was a thing of the past. The promise of a beautiful world was right in front of her, and instead this endless resource was being put to use in an endless war. That pilot who extended a hand to her. Which field was she in now? Susie wants me to name my Dragoon. I'm kind of stuck, though, she mused idly. Got any ideas? A few, but I'm not sure. What's yours called, by the way? I never asked. Lace. Gia recalled his appearance in the hangar. Huh. That fits. Loving a war machine full of flowers. Actually, I mean, that's beautiful. It's just anything. Yeah, I love like the aesthetic theming of that a lot, and like the lilac, you know, it being this thing that would normally be beautiful and turn into like a weapon. Love the cleanliness and space. One of my favorite tweets. The next show. Live space. What was meant to be versus how it was. Yeah. It's really interesting because it's the cleanly the bleh, I can't talk. The ways in which it is clean are like almost like perverse, like it's all show. It's meant to have life, but it in its eternal cleanliness, it's lifeless as well. It's really interesting. Everything has a polish to it. It's all clean and proper, not a bit out of place. It's all presentable. Hey T John. Hi. That's my name. That's my name. I hope you're well today, T-John. Thanks for stopping by. This is the controller first week of the leadership strategy. Yes. Do you ever want to drift away in Margaritaville? Sometimes. I ain't having a case in the Mondays, though. I'm having a case in the Fridays. I'm feeling pretty all right. I did have like a couple few drinks last weekend though, so I'm like trying to take it a little more easy for a little bit. But oh yeah. Do you ever want to drift away in Margaritaville, T-John? Continue the raid. Is it sexy? Yeah. Gio nodded. I mean, yeah. That actually is kind of reassuring. I've been thinking of, Coquette for mine. She said that thing. Oh my god, she said that thing. I like it. Yeah! It's so cute. Just sort of came in my head looking at it. The thighs are certainly... Gio trailed off. They certainly are. It's not a corny name. I like it. We're matchies. I thought you'd go for something cutesy instead. I like to think I have more than one personality trait. Gio whined. Robot thighs. Oh, I'm thinking about not gonna lie, I've been thinking about robot shoulders for months. Sometimes I think about Elster's big, beautiful shoulders and how she's kind of built like an upside down triangle. It kind of makes me unwell. But I'm gonna refrain because I'm just gonna be going on about how beautiful I think about Elster is for like an hour. Though, for the color, I was thinking of powder pink and blue. Now that's very you. He doesn't clash with the name? Anyone gives him sexy names. That's probably more normal than painting it like a baby toy. Fighter pilots paint pinups on their jets. They tell infantry, treat your rifle like it's your sweetheart. Ever since the dawn of time when man first smashed man's head in with a club, we've been trying to fuck our weapons, I guess. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the kind of art that goes around on Land of Dragoons in certain circles. I feel bad I keep putting her in situations. put that woman's ass in a situation. Gio hung her head. Yeah. I always sort of wondered how a pilot would feel seeing that kind of art. Gio sighed. Yes, I know now. Pilots are the people that want to fuck them the most, probably. Does everyone on the cockpit count as having sex with it? Ayane asked herself aloud. Don't tell me you do that. When you're stuck inside of one for days at a time out there, you'll do the same. Everyone does it. I'd like to stay innocent for a little longer at least. Ayane talking about cranking her hog in the Dragoon. But yeah, I'm all about women getting put into a situation. All of Coquette is just Gio being put into a situation. Well, not all of Coquette, but a lot of Coquette is Gio being put into a situation. Love the contrast sci-fi, like clean, sterile, shining, polished, hostile starships with the clay and patchwork of whatever keeps functional. Yeah, that I always think is really cool. And it very much like seems to be like the case. And I think something that's kind of interesting with Coquette as well is, there are a lot of these like nice polished exteriors, but all of the like guts, like you take like a Dragoon, and all the guts are they're mismatched, and they're from all kinds of different eras, and they're haphazard. They're all salvaged. It's all like broken and mismatched and horrible inside, and just kind of barely functioning with the exterior of like the external presentation of something functional. Let's hit it built on bodies. Yes, so good. Like all of the blood and history behind all of the things amongst the ship just have like this coat of pink thrown on them, saying, yeah, it's fine, don't worry about it. Everything's perfect here. Everything's beautiful. Having parted ways to drop off their school bags, Gio stood with her back against the wall, waiting for Ayane in the hall leading to the station. She didn't really want to keep walking around or go shopping, but it wasn't like there was anything else to do either. How luxurious it was to be bored. As Gio idly looked from left to right, a charcoal uniformed officer passing through the gate met her gaze. Ensign Rosales, there you are. Walk with me. Gio glanced at her insignia and hurried to her side. Yes, ma'am. I'm Lieutenant Hill, secretary to the commanding officer. Put that cigarette out, would you? I can't stand them. Sorry. You've been absent from meal times most days, Hill noted with a glance at her clipboard. Oh, I've been using my breaks to catch up on work. How dutiful. Is the food here unacceptable to your tastes? No, not at all. Tell me, do you have any diagnostic history of disordered eating? No, never. Then is there a particular reason you aren't joining the rest of the division at mealtime? I think there might be a bit of a misunderstanding. I received some rather concerning reports regarding your behavior from your squadron leader. Oh. Do you know what my role here is? No. I'm sure you've noticed that most of the pilots here in the special division are young women, such as yourself. Hill's eyes started across the members of the hall as she spoke. I was assigned as secretary to the commander on the basis that, as another young woman, I would have a sensitive touch when dealing with girls like you. So, to put things plainly, if you decide to cut yourself, starve yourself, or whatever else, that's my responsibility. Being a pilot means that your body belongs to more than just you. Do you understand? Yes, I understand. Report to medical by the end of the week. I've informed them of your situation. You're going to answer every question honestly. Yes, ma'am. Cutting between the pair, a young pilot shoved himself in front of the lieutenant. Yo, Miss Louie! That's Lieutenant, Hill snapped, scowling up at him. Yeah. So what's the story with their sidearms? Me and the boys went some time on the range. The pilot winked and made a finger gun at her. Hill's eyes finally landed on Gio again. You're dismissed, she said tersely, making a shoe gesture with one hand before rounding on the male pilot. That topic is not up for discussion with me or anyone else. Hill spat, pushing past him as she spoke. Hey, come on! Gio was left standing in the hallway with a hole in her stomach. Girls like you. Everyone can see right fucking through me. I only just got here and everyone already thinks I'm a fuck up. Even Susie. She wanted to be able to think that Lieutenant Hill knew nothing about her, that those assumptions were just assumptions, or the reports Susie had given her were misinterpreted. But it was true. She'd been like this all her life. Gio dug her thumb into her wrist. Count to 10, and you'll go about your day. Count to 10, and count to 10. It doesn't help. The urge to hit herself across the face gripped her so strongly that her hands twitched, but the crowd passing by gave her pause. Gio hung her head. Whatever she did to herself now, she'd have to show whatever doctor was awaiting her. She couldn't make this worse for herself. Hey, there you are, Ayane greeted as she appeared by Gio's side. Hey. Gio felt the pull to run away from her. She didn't want to be seen like this. You sure look glum. She gave you a talking to, didn't she? Ayane said as she eyed the lieutenant down the hall, who was now in a shouting match with the pilot pestering her. Don't worry about it. You should see how she talks to me. Yeah. Ayane stared at Gio's hazy expression for a few moments before sighing theatrically. Fine. Come here. Hey! Ayane grabbed Gio, squeezing her head against her chest. Cheer up, yeah? There's people around, Gio whined. So what? Ayane asked, laughing. You get depressed way too easily. Sure. Gio sobbed herself. Yeah. It's easy to cheer you up, though. You just need a little doting. Gio let out a small whine in protest. We're gonna go have some fun, so you can forget about whatever is getting you down, okay? Okay. Ayane let go, clapping her hand on Gio's shoulder. Let's head off. You got your suit, yeah? Oh, yeah. Gio nodded, gesturing to her bag. She'd completely forgotten her and Ayane's plans for the afternoon. Sorry, I want to read through the entirety of that scene, so I didn't just leave us in the middle of that. Let me catch up here. Oh, that reminds me of Extreme Meat Punks Forever and the whole Yeah, sometimes older meat mechs have actual human bits in them, and sometimes they bear some sort of memory sentiment. Ooh! And sometimes you install a part from another mech for repairs, replacement, and sometimes, occasionally, it feels weird, like it's acting on its own volition. Ooh, that's so sick. I didn't know about that. That's ooh. You know what's funny is I was at some point I was actually like writing something with, you know, not exactly like that, but there's like hints of that here and there. I love fucked up meat mechs so much. Fucked up meat mechs fucking rule. That's really cool. Oh, not the tangent. Really, it was. So I had my first. This reminds me of gender vector. Oh. Mystery. Gender mystery. Save me, whiny girl. Save me. Whiny girl. Whiny girl, save me. I love Geo. Geo lent over a tub of stick-on patches for pilot suits on the hunt for anything cute. Love me. Extensions. Yes! I love meat! I love meat! I love meat! More classic combo than trans women and bi. That's what I'm saying. I love heart body horror. I heart it. I like it. I like it very much. Ayana had taken her to a small rundown shop for spacesuit equipment, telling her it was a hidden gem with a trendy selection. So far, she was surprisingly correct, and Gio was quickly filling her hands with cute patches shaped like hamburgers and love hearts and the like. All bodies is horror. Colorful posters lined the aging brick walls, showing off products for spacefarers that were made obsolete decades ago, but at least provided some nice atmosphere. Oh yeah, I just want to turn everybody's attention to something in the background here. Hold on. I don't need to take a screenshot of it because I've already taken a screenshot of it, but also I have to find the screenshot of it that I took, lest I have to go and take another screenshot of it. Hold on. Oh my god, where'd it go? Did it? Hold on. No. Why is it doing that? Please. Please. I'm begging you. I just need to. Hold on. I just need to. Alright, 1 second. Let me just. Oh my god, where'd it go? Hold on. I need to. Wibbleburger. Wibbleburger. It's your favorite. Oh, there's a lot that happened while I was trying to scramble to get Wibbleburger Did they let the Wibble smoke? I sure fucking hope they let the Wibble smoke. It reminds me. Kind man, someone else chat when they're like, I would totally eat lab-grown human meat. It's like, I'd probably go more extreme than that. I want more meat grown from a specific person. They're being able to take and consume the flesh someone you love without causing any harm. I'm obsessed with that. That is like the perfect like flavor of deranged. I'm like kind of upset with that. Not upset. Obsessed. Like, hey babe, hey babe, can we sample your DNA and do a meat making kit I want to eat your meat so bad. I want to taste what you taste like. I'm obsessed with that. That's great. Very yeah. Ethical cannibalism. Yes. Yes. Okay, in Memento and Marrow, I dead ass. I like almost. I did almost write in a little bit of cannibalism, and I kind of almost wish I did now. But I almost did it. I will do it at some point though. I will write that. It's not that well. Yeah, just a little bite. Just a little bit of snackage. Just take a little bit of somebody you love and in your tummy. Let me take a little sip of my drink. Most of the equipment here was for soldiers and crewmen who wanted to purchase their own out of pocket, rather than rely on the cheap hardware issued to them by the military. Citizens from the Zephyranthes weren't found often in the work crews outside of it, but they were usually the ones in charge of them. They would never actually take part in any of the hands-on work, but a lot of the bosses she'd encountered over the years wanted to put on a spacesuit and oversee the work in person. She hadn't actually ever really questioned where they got their suits fitted and maintained, but now she supposed it was at shops like this. And yeah, there's no sex involved. Yes, I love writing sex scenes that aren't actually sex but are still sex. I love it. I need to write more of them.
There's a little bit of that in Memento and Marrow. It's my visual novel. You can find it if you go down and you see the tab in my Twitch that says play my game. You should play my game.
No, there's so much. Yeah, I'm going to place the cannibalism strategically. Yes. Oh my god, I'm gonna just like keep going on and not making any progress because I'm very invested in this conversation. But I also am very like invested in writing about like sex that isn't like strictly like penetration. Like it's very important to me. For a lot of reasons. Like there's so many like things that sex can be, and like why be limited in the ways that like people show love, Compared to the plastic buckets filled with parts only identifiable with expert knowledge, the corner section off for pilot outerwear felt like being in the kids' clothing department. There was something a little embarrassing about not being able to say aloud that she actually knew about the complicated parts of the rest of the place, too. It wasn't quite like the suit stores Gio relied on back in the fringes, but it still had a homely feel. She'd been handling these pieces all her life. The old man behind the counter, presumably lucky, had a familiar air to him, too. Was he a migrant from the fringes like her? He was working with a soldering iron on a dismantled piece, though Gio couldn't make out what it was from across the room. I want to do shit with a soldering iron. I have one. I have things to repair. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Repairing old systems is cool. What's on this shit doing nothing but that pose goes so crazy. Salute, soldier. The business of selling and repairing spacesuits independently like this came with a lot of liability and risk. Faulty work killed people and reputations both. The only people who would run a business like this were those fascinated by the work and sure of themselves as craftsmen. Generally, that type was rarely good with people. What looked like that old man's grandson had greeted the pair of girls as they entered, and remained hovering at a distance as they browsed the shelves. Gio had always held a quiet assumption that her law in life was to essentially get into the business herself, considering the repair work she'd done on her own suits over the years. It was nerve-wracking, high-stakes work, but she was good at it. Instead, she was here, on the other side of the glass as an overpaid soldier playing dress-up. At least she had managed to find a nice set of things to wear while thinking about these things. Changing behind the curtain, the lieutenant's words rang through her head as Gio stared at the scars running across her body. The faint lines on her arm she had done to herself. The jagged marks that covered her entire body were from work. A doctor once laughed and said that she was like a magnet for space debris. On some level, it was absurdly unlucky, but at the same time, the fact that none of these wounds were fatal was incredibly fortunate. Not that she was able to feel very good about that. When Gio saw herself, she felt disgusted. A fear welled up inside of her that if someone like the lieutenant saw her body, she might think every one of those injuries were self-inflicted. The idea of trying to argue that only some of them felt entirely futile. What would Ayane think if she threw open the curtain now? Gio's mind reached towards an image of Ayane reacting with revulsion, but it was quickly shot down. Ayane wasn't like that. She'd probably say something like it's cool for a soldier to have scars and wouldn't press on it any further. Ayane was nice to her. It really was as simple as that. She never had friends that hugged her before. That lieutenant had sent her in a spiral, and all it took was Ayane's arms wrapped around her to pull her out of it. She didn't mock her, ask if it was something that should even upset her, or brush it aside. Why would she react any differently seeing these scars? If anything, she would probably have sympathy. Maybe if Ayane saw these scars, she'd feel sorry for Gio and give her another hug. What the fuck am I thinking? She's so cute! She's so cute! What do you think of this? Gio opened the dressing room curtain, adorned in a jacket and capelet. Ayane immediately began blowing kisses with her hands. Ciao bella! Bellissimo! What? Very good. Yeah, I like it. It's nice they let us dress up a little. Really makes you feel like a fancier cog in the machine. Don't say that. Not that you're wrong. I thought I'd match with how I'll paint with the Coquette. What do you think? It suits you. Ayane smiled. I'd say go for it. I haven't seen your suit yet. I'm excited to see it. In due time. I don't really like wearing it. Oh, I love spacesuits. Because they're like that onesie of yours? Gio hung her head. More or less. But isn't it cute? Yeah. Totes adorbs. Gio raised her arms, looking at herself in the mirror with satisfaction. Doesn't feel right without this kind of thing. When you work in suits, you've got to have some way of telling each other apart. I wonder if you could call it a tradition. Looking good! The young store clerk clapped his hands together as he approached the two girls. Is there anything else I can help you with, ma'am? That's okay. I'm all good, thank you. Gio stuttered. Of course. Take your time. The young man said, backing off with a smile and a placating hand gesture. Lilac's mightiest soldier, scared by a shopping attendant. Ayane scoffed. I'm just not used to being called ma'am. Gio whined. It feels weird. Because you look like a 13-year-old at a uniform? Ayane quipped. Do I? Gio's ears perked up. You are way too excited to hear that. I have brain damage. Gio smiled. Ayane laughed vaguely. I've been getting that sense. Yeah. I shouldn't joke about that. I really do have brain damage. I'm gonna get change back. Gio approached the counter, eyes drawn to the old man's work. Is that a Pure Air 3500? Gio asked, gesturing to the device in his hands. 3600. Good eye, though. The only difference is the capacitor, the man replied as he looked up at her. I always wanted one of those. I was stuck with an old Lifesaver 2M, Gio said with a sigh. The dismantled device was a computer for a life support module fitted to a worker's spacesuit, generating clean air and water. At least, the hope was for it to be clean. You do your own repairs? The old man asked. Yeah, I did. Couldn't afford otherwise. Old worker? He asked, setting down his tools and ambling towards the register. Sure was. Must be quite a different world wearing that thing. He gestured to the folded suit in Gio's arms. Gio laughed a little. Yeah, completely. That piece on the table was completely obsolete next to a pilot suit. All the life support systems were compact enough to fit into the helmet. The old man took the suit accessories from her, ringing up each item and placing it methodically into a paper bag. It's okay to ask, Gio said, taking out her wallet. You were born in the fringes too, yeah? The same as you. Enlisted, served a decade, qualified for a living permit, and set up shop here. I wasn't lucky enough to be a pilot, though. He laughed at himself, hitting a button on the register. 120, 50 cents. Yeah. I'm glad it worked out. Here. Gio handed over a small wad of bills. Just like at home, stores like this only ever took cash. The man pushed the bag across the counter to Gio with some coins in hand. Or 50 change. He looked at her for a moment. Even that suit looked at. Bring it here. I'll do it for free. Navy does cheap work. Thank you. I will. Gio nodded with a smile. You have a good day now. You too. We're gonna start a conversation with him, so if head injuries just won't go, please. the timing. The timing. That's funny. Gio leant against the window of the cable car, watching each layer pass by. The words she'd spoken just earlier repeated in her head. I'm glad it worked out. That old man didn't offer any encouragement back to her. How could he? Everything felt transient. She didn't feel any more connected to these places, these people, no matter how many times she saw them again. And they didn't feel connected to her either. Felt like she was a bubble of soap that could burst in any second. No matter how strong a Dragoon was, how good her score was next to the pilots around her, she could die in a single shot, just like anyone else. Just like that pilot. Gio leant forward, one hand on her stomach. She felt sick, and hunger pain started to set in. A single slice of toast wasn't enough to live on. What Hill had said to her was right on the money. Gio had skipped lunch today entirely on purpose. The more stressed she got, the less she ate, the less she slept, and the more she smoked. Fufi wasn't here. She was surrounded by strangers that scared her, and her life was now a runaway train heading towards the day she was going to take a human life. She wasn't panicking and picking at her skin like she would be without Ayane. But how was she meant to be able to eat, think, or do anything? Are you aware of the current deal for service members? If you sign up for a 24-month plan... Gio recoiled. Ayane stepped forward, glaring furiously. Sign people up for contracts you don't think they'll live to see the end of. It's a nice bit of commission, doesn't it? She smirked. I was in the same business once. No such offense intended. If you... Ayane clapped a hand on Gio's shoulder. Just leave us alone. I know what I'm looking for. Look, I'm just a temp. Oh, just get out of your hair. You never know how to deal with salespeople, Gio murmured. I'm a huge bitch, so leave it to me, Ayane said with obvious pride, thrusting a thumb into her chest. Right. Anyway, Ayane said, gesturing to the display. Phone. Right. Phone, Gio affirmed, trailing behind her. I have no idea what to pick. I've only ever owned secondhand ones. I guess I can afford any of these now, can I? You sure can, Ayane said, leading Gio toward his sleek plastic flip phone on display. Oh, why not get the same as me? We could be twinsies. Oh. Ayane grinned down at her. It even comes in baby pink. Yeah, yeah, Gio sighed. Really though, it's got a nice big screen, big battery, even has a strap pull. Gio laughed. What? You know, the hole you thread your phone strap through. Ayane stuck her tongue out. Get your mind out of the gutter. Right. Also, it's got snake on it. How did you say that with your mouth? Alright, that sounds good. And I will get the pink. Yeah. We're gonna play 2-player snake. Hey. I still don't know how you're saying that with your mouth. Okay. Having a military ID makes us go pretty quickly. Let's get some burgers after. All right. Burgers. Wibbleburger! Wibbleburger! I love Wibbleburger! It's your favorite! It's your favorite! Let's fucking go, Wibbleburger! You're gonna fucking explode. Wibbleburger! It's your fucking favorite! A chorus of shrill voices greeted Gio and Ayane as they entered. Welcome to Wibbleburger! Ayane squealed, balling her fists in agony at the cute array of toys. A plushie gave her a perfect curtsy. Welcome back, Miss Ayane. This is Wibbleburger? Another plushie hovered in front of Gio's puzzled face. I see this is your first time here. Here at Wibbleburger, customer satisfaction and relaxation are #1. Please enjoy our fresh from the grilled delights and free yourself from your daily stress with soft and squishy plushies. I see. Table for 2? Yes, please. Ayane cooed. Gio sat down across from Ayane in a booth, scooching towards the window. By all rights, this place was basically Gio's idea of heaven. But right now, she was finding it completely bewildering to actually experience. How have I never heard of this place? Good question. There's ads all the time. Right. You got different TV stations outside. Oh, yeah, they are. Now I'm wondering what else I've missed. Well, you're here now. Enjoy the Wibbles. I am fucking enjoying the Wibbles, baby. Wibble. I didn't think you liked cute things so much, Gio murmured. Ayane laughed. I like you, don't I? Yeah. A plushie waitress flowed over to the table with a smile. Would you like to order now or later? Can we get you any drinks? I still need to look at the menu first, Gio replied meekly. Would you like to purchase a petting ticket? A petting ticket entitles you to spend your time more intimately with a toy of your choice, the plushie chirped to Gio. Me! I'll have one! Ayane cheered. Your usual then, Miss Ayane? Yes, please, Ayane cooed. I think I'm okay, Gio murmured. Please let us know when you're ready to order. So do you want a kid's meal? Ayane pointed the menu. Comes with a toy. None of these look cute, Gio said, dismayed as she looked at the kids' meals. The girl's toy was from some ugly 3D CG movie she'd never heard of. Ayane laughed. Can't even joke in front of a real connoisseur, can I? What are these meat names? Gio asked, looking at the different burgers. Wagyu means it's good. Angus also means it's good. Not that I have its real cow. It's just branding to push up the price. Right. I still don't know what a pickle is. Everyone talks about loving or hating them. The green thing. Isn't that lettuce? The other green thing. The round one. Kind of sour. Uh-huh. Don't worry too much about it. If you don't like them, I'll eat them, though. But not the ones here. They're pretty terrible. I'm more confused. Let's keep things simple. Nothing beats a regular cheeseburger, if you ask me. Yeah. Gio placed the menu down, resting her chin on her arms. I love her sorry ass. her painful lack of burger ingredient knowledge. Gio placed the menu down, resting her chin on her arms. Despite the pain in her stomach, she still didn't have an appetite. Why does this matter to me? Why can't I fly, and why don't I want to eat? I can't pretend I'm not hungry. Ayane isn't an idiot. It's probably why she brought me here. Everyone is all so fucking concerned about me. A sour-faced plushie arrived at the table, glaring down at Ayane. You again. Gio flinched as she looked up at the blue fur toy. Me again? Ayane grinned, leaping forward to grab her. Why me? The plushie groaned as Ayane squeezed its head. Because you hate me the most. Just no fun if there's no sense of torture. Gio, meet Pompilon. Ayane grinned, squeezing her against the plushie's cheek. Isn't she adorable? Just don't bite me this time, the plushie pleaded. I think I'm understanding Ayane less and less. Pompilon, my beloved. Pigtails girl, you treat me much nicer than this monster, wouldn't you? Pompilon looked at Gio beseechingly. She's spoken for. Don't put it like that. It's complicated, Gio huffed. Sorry, looks like you're stuck with me. Ayane cooed, sitting the toy in her lap. Not so rough. The toy continued to whine and protest, though Gio was familiar enough with plushies to see through it. All plushies are motivated by a desire to please, even this one. Every personality fit a need. For these humans that dislike saccharine toys that readily ask for your affection, these bitter ones make you want to tease them are most popular. Gio looked at the toy squirming in Ayane's lap with a sense of envy. She'd always felt jealous of Fifi's body. In a world with cute and simple plush toys, why'd she have to be born an ugly human? Her mind thought back to the way Ayane brushed her hair. She wanted to be held like that again, even if it was scary. She wanted to be seen by her the way she saw this plushie. The pain in her stomach worsened. Did she always sweat this much? Gio, baby. Gio got up from the table. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Have fun. Think of me. Don't fall in. Welcome back. Ayane sung as Gio sat back down across from her. Where'd your friend go? Gio asked. There's a 15-minute time limit, Ayane sighed. Only fair to the other customers. I was gone that long. Anyway, Ayane said, slapping her hand on a menu. Let's order. Right. Sorry it took so long. Just play a non-burgers if you're sick of them, Ayane said contemplatively. We are eating here twice in a row. Do you usually come here that often? Ayane responded with a wry smile. I don't want to eat my diner surrounded by war criminals or with these cuties. Right. You don't look so hot, Ayane nodded. So what'd Hill say to get you so down? I just have to see a doctor. It's not a big deal. It is if you're scared of doctors. Want me to come with then? Ayane asked. I don't think they'll let you in. I know. I'll just wait outside. We can do something nice after. Like eat a Wibbleburger. Gio laughed a little. Yeah, that sounds nice. It was still hard to eat. Ayane spoke bluntly. Yeah. Why don't you try something you haven't had before? You looked like you're having fun when you first had spaghetti. Or does that make it harder? I don't know. I don't think I want a hamburger again, though. Gio looked over the menu.
about the food here was really exciting before I arrived.
And reality sank in, I take it.
More or less. I think I'll try the meatball sub.
Food of kings.
Round shapes are cute.
Can't argue with that. Ayane waved over a plushie holding a notepad. I used to work on one of these, you know. Ayane mused, taking a bite from her burger.
Really?
Flipping patties. Honestly, worse than the fucking army. I quit after a month. Shit pay, shit work. My coworkers are all pricks too. No one has any solidarity in this world. Same as it is here. Getting to play with the plushies was fun though.
No solidarity.
Jill mulled over the words.
Did Hill tell you what she told me? About how she got her job?
Yep.
I don't like her, but I picked up enough of what was going on just from her title. Making a lieutenant call herself a secretary is a joke. I even noticed her base is mostly women.
I mean, our squad is a little lopsided.
Yeah. I guess I prefer it. The guys on the base genuinely scare me.
This won't make you feel better. Don't worry about anything happening. No one can touch pilots.
And the girls that aren't pilots?
I said it would make you feel better. Well, it makes you wish they'd hurry up and kill us all, don't it? Ayane jeered. Special Division has a bit of a reputation for being full of problem children. So many of the guys that end up here are the real crazy ones. Ayane sighed. Though, we also take the ones that are too soft for the other divisions. Greatly preferred. Anyway, you gonna eat anytime soon?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Gio unwrapped her sandwich. These are the kinds of things she used to be so excited to be able to eat here.
Couldn't you just think of it that way?
Finally, she took a bite. Meatballs really were the best. It wasn't anywhere near as hard as she thought it would be. Why'd the sense of relief make her feel angry? She hated these half measures. Going back and forth like this felt so frustrating. If she was going to self-destruct, she had to go far enough for it to mean something. And if she could just eat and be okay after all, why couldn't she have spent the day like a normal person? Ayane looked at her. You didn't get much sleep, did you?
Not really.
Is my sleeping face that captivating? Ayane cooed.
That kind of joke makes me feel sick.
Seeing the expression on Gia's face, Ayane let a strained awkward sorry. If you want some pills for it, I've got plenty. Doctors off base will prescribe you anything you ask for.
I don't really like taking medication if I don't have to.
Are you the type that's scared dependency?
Yeah, I guess.
Weed help you sleep?
Weed gives me panic attacks.
Bummer. Are your meatballs nice?
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me.
You don't have to keep saying stuff like that. Ayane sighed. I like hanging out with you.
Yeah.
Gio finished her meal, wiping her hands on her napkin. That phone of yours working yet? Ayane asked.
I haven't checked it.
Gio flipped it open, seeing the connection bars light up.
Guess it is.
Yeah, you can add me.
Oh, yeah. What's your number?
What is this, the Middle Ages? Ayane circled the table, sitting down beside Gio and plucking the phone out of her hands. Check it out. You can add people just by touching the sensors, she said as she demonstrated, tapping her phone against Gio's.
Huh. Your ship really is a decade ahead,
Gio observed, hitting accept. You're living the high life now. Ayane slipped over the table. Shame you lost all your contacts, though. Gio trailed off. Is it more of a fuck 'em all situation then?
I guess so.
Gio closed her phone.
Hey, if it's not a drag, can you help me out with some work stuff?
Gio asked, reaching for her bag.
I brought some stuff I thought I'd read on the train.
What do you need?
I just don't really know what they're asking for in the condition report or how to word it.
Yeah. I was kind of confused when I first had to write one. I asked her squadron's mechanic about. She's great, by the way. She said the best way to write it out is to just list everything out in bullet points. Like when the throttle is at this position, this thing feels off, etc. You don't need to write an essay.
Oh, yeah, I think I get it. Let's see.
Gio began scribbling notes.
Left engine is a little misaligned.
Don't worry too much about getting everything. You won't be sent out before speaking to her and having it tuned properly. What did I miss? Hi, Kita. I played your cool song at the start of the stream. That it's so fucking cool. Jillian theme is so cool. I still can't believe you made that, and that it fucks as hard as it does. I'll probably play it at like the end of the stream too, so more people can hear. But I guess it goes so fucking crazy. Anyways, I hope your day has been good. Welcome in. Again, thank you so much for making that track. It's so fucking cool.
That's reassuring, I guess. Sorry to bother you with the homework.
Yes. Yeah, it's so fucking cool. You know, I can also like link the track real quick. I will pop it in here. This whole album's like really good too. Like she really like went all out in this. Like this is like a big Christmas present that she put together for her friend group, and it like makes me like insane. She put her whole into it. Yeah, you made that. That's you. There's some bangers on there. There's some bangers. And the fact that you made that all in like 2 months and like did all that like genre experiment, it's just fucking cool.
So fucking cool.
Tragic as it is, we do actually have to do our jobs some of the time. Just though with optimism, squirrels nut in winter. That's good. I don't actually enjoy being made to run laps and mop floors every week.
Do you have anything you need to work on? I'm happy to help you out too.
Ayane pouted. I left all my books at home.
All right, I won't keep you. I'll just finish this and we'll go.
I love Wibbleburger. I love you. I love Wibbleburger. Yeah! I love this little CG so much. It's so cute. Yeah. It's so cute. It's so nice. Wibbleburger. I love Wibbleburger. I love Wibbleburger. You love Wibbleburger. It's your favorite. Do they have cheese? Of course they have cheeseburgers at Wibbleburger. I think I got a cheeseburger at Wibbleburger.
Where do you think the milk comes from?
They spent the evening going over the forms Susie had given her, Ayane continuing to order drinks and chicken nuggets to share between them. As soon as Pompilon was free again, Ayane snatched the chance to prey on her. Emotions Gio couldn't quite grasp the entirety of flooded through her. She never got to have anything like You like thinking about Wibbleburger milk, guys? You like that one? Do you enjoy thinking about that Wibble milk? Anyways, I'm not gonna linger on that for much longer. Something is like Ch.3 carried the life faith for that. The milkshake was empty and cheeseburger almost gets. Fuck. Emotions Gio couldn't quite grasp the entirety of fluttered through her. She'd never gone to have anything like this. Something as small as this. Even just the act of studying after school together or hanging out to eat. These are things she saw all the time in fiction and understood to be a normal, mundane part of life and socialization, but had never once aligned with her reality. Everything up until now was a double life of spending every moment at work fantasizing about socialization, and every moment free role-playing it out online with people she'd never met. She understood spending time with someone as a script, and she'd rehearsed it so well the real thing was eerily familiar. It was like piloting her Dragoon, and the senses planned inside of her by the GI. She handled weapons as if she'd held them her whole life. She never had anything close to a normal friendship, but she had spent her whole life creating false memories of the act, and she moved so automatically she had no time to even take stock of what she was saying or doing. And every second, it felt like the mask was slipping away little by little, and she would be caught in just that, in act. The intensity of her own desires felt terrifying. Ayane had begun to feel like she could fill the role of the big sister she never had, and had fantasized about all her life, though Gio knew she was older of the two. Gio wanted her to dote on her more and more. Every time she paid Gio even the smallest of compliments, she broke out in sweat. She wanted her attention more the longer they spent together. Guilt gnawed her from just how jealous she felt seeing Pompilon sitting in her lap. But while a part of her was begging to be held so tightly her ribs cracked, another wanted to return to hiding in the bathroom. It was like this every time someone so much as gave her the time of day. She wanted an end to her loneliness, and as soon as it felt within reach, she would desperately try to pull it towards her. It was all too easy to imagine how badly she could hurt someone with that. Gio. The day was over. Gio would have to return to that cold dormitory. Trying to sleep next to Ayane was tense and painful, but was more than she can ask for to stay in the room again. She flipped open the phone in her hands, examining the colorful interface. There used to be people she would have messaged updates to about every little thing that happened here. Every time she started a new job, they'd all send her good luck messages. Now, the list of people she could talk to at all had dwindled down to a single person, Ayane. Watching Ayane, she was humming to herself, tapping her foot to whatever song was in her head. It was too hard to talk over the noise of the streets and train tracks running alongside them, and much unlike Gio, she was good at keeping herself occupied in these moments. Gio wanted to sit close to her, lean on her, ask her for another hug before they said goodbye. But when she imagined doing it, a voice played back through her head from the only person who ever let her touch them. "You're always so clingy, like, I want to be your boyfriend, not your dad or whatever." Of course I want everyone around me to be my family. I never had a real one. It's nothing complicated. That's always disgusted people. But why wouldn't it? Aren't these simple kinds of problems the things you're meant to get over quickly? I'm so pathetic. She cupped her hands together on her lap, imagining Fufi's form between them. Whenever she felt anxious, she'd hold her close. It was becoming more and more obvious how little Gio was able to function without her. Fufi encouraged her to eat, bathe, sleep, get up in the morning, take care of herself, until it no longer needed to be said. But now that she was alone, she needed to be told all those things again. She needed someone to look after her. She always wanted to be taken in by someone, even in the small ways Ayane had given her care. Her friendships online were full of roleplay gestures of affection. She always asked for virtual hugs, head pats, scratches behind the ear. Everyone doted on her. Herself in reality couldn't be any more different. She'd always imagined scenarios where she would tell people about the things she'd been through, and they'd hold her close, comfort her, sympathize with her. She'd always wanted to hear, everything's okay now. But a real friendship wasn't like that at all. Being seen through felt terrifying. Having her flaws on full display was nauseating. Whenever Ayana gave her a gesture of kindness, it was because Gio looked miserable. Every time they hung out together, it felt like she had shown her something pitiful about herself. At the same time, Gio had felt a sense that she wanted things that way. She wanted to be seen with pity. She always wanted to be younger than she was. She wanted to be something precious, cared for, loved. She wanted to be allowed to show vulnerability. Whenever she'd hurt herself or starved herself, there was always that pleading voice in the back of her head, eager to see someone's reaction to how unwell she was. What she got instead was the condescension of that cold lieutenant and feeling disrespected everywhere she went. That was the reality of being weak, and no one had ever forgiven her for it, even when she was a child. I wanted to be a cute, vulnerable little girl forever. I decided that this is what I wanted to be, and I dress and act as such, and even train myself to speak in a lighter voice. But I can't even convince myself, let alone others. How things felt online is also pathetic to think about now. Ayane had really helped her today. Gio still wasn't feeling great, but she knew what state she would be in now if left to her own devices. She wanted to ask for more or be able to speak plainly about how she felt, but it already felt like she'd received far more than she deserved. Why does even just leaning on someone's shoulder feel like such an unforgivable, disgusting act? I don't feel like I'm allowed to initiate anything, but no one ever asks permission to touch me. I want to be closer to her. I really want to be her friend. If we both might disappear, what am I waiting for? She gave me that hug just earlier, and before that. She has no issue with touching me. I want to, but I can't shake these feelings. Gio. I've been so lonely all my life. I've been dreaming of being loved all my life. But this is all too terrifying. Gio makes me want to throw around big bricks around my room in a concerning manner. And I mean this as a compliment. Like I cannot talk about it. Cinder blocks even. Cement block. Cement block on my head. Gio, it's a ship. Fufi shook her arm. Gio couldn't turn her head around to see it. A voice crackled into her earpiece. This is Lilac Fleet Special Division Search and Rescue Ship A1512. Are you able to receive radio transmission? Yes, I am, Gio responded mechanically. We're sending out someone now. Are you injured? There's a piece of metal in my arm. The cell seal covered it. Oh dear. All right. Just hold still for a moment. Gio didn't respond. The battle had passed, giving way to a deep sense of listlessness. Her shoulder ached, but as long as she kept it still, it didn't hurt any worse. The metal hadn't reached her bone, at least from how it felt. A gentle tap on her back told her she was about to be grabbed from behind, and she lifted her right arm. Where are you hurt? The rescuer asked her. Gio gestured as best as she is able to. My left shoulder. All right, let's get you out of here. Thank you. Thank you so much! Fufi cheered for the rescuer in place of Gio. Air hissed around them as the ship's airlock pressurized. All in a day's work, I guess? Though I'm mostly used to rescuing humans. Did you see any other ships nearby?
The woman asked Gio. Gio shook her head. All right, let's get you inside. Gio followed her inside, the pilot giving her a small wave from his seat at the front of the minuscule vessel. Are you picking up any more signals? The woman asked the pilot. Nothing. Guess it was just our division that took a hit. What about the Dragoon? Cockpit camera confirms KIA. It's from the 3rd. They sent out a salvage ship for it. I see. Right. I didn't detect any more suits either. I think this is all we can do here, the woman said, taking her helmet off. The woman folded up a first aid kit, leaning over Gio. Let me see your arm. Don't worry. I know. Gio muttered. It's stuck to the suit. You can't treat it here. The woman gave her a questioning look. You seem used to this. Normally the rescuees of downed ships were a lot more agitated. I am. How old are you? Gio turned her head. I'm of age, if that's what you're asking. Well, it doesn't look like you're in any immediate danger. The woman sighed. All I can do right now is administer painkillers. Gio shook her head. I'm okay. How many people are aboard your ship? The pilot asked, turning around from his seat. Special Division sent us, but we didn't get a manifest. Just me. Just you? It was an automated ship. Just for one person? Gio unzips one of the satchels on her seat, pulling out a folded paper and ID card. I need to get to Sector H2 Bay 14. That's where I was being sent. Sure, we're from the division, so that's where we're headed. You need to get to a hospital. The woman examined the card. Gio Mara. You're a Dragoon pilot in Special Division, right? Not yet. Not yet? The woman cocked her head. Wait, did you only just enlist? With a small nod, Gio only replied, I can't be late. Jeez, you pilots really are crazy, the woman said, pushing her hair back. And the android? I'm accompanying her, Foofy said quietly. His forms are legit. Technically, we are obliged to get you to where you're going, but am I covered for this? Gio asked. What do you mean? I haven't signed in everything yet. Am I under military insurance? I'm really not the person to ask. The woman scratched her head. This isn't an ambulance, if that's what you mean. What about for the hospital? You're covered if you have that ID card, the ship's pilot cut in. You can get that arm treated just fine. Really? Yeah. That's a relief. The woman looked at Gio with a small flash of realization. Were you really just thinking of just showing up with that in your arm? Mm-hmm. The pilot turned his head back towards them. You're on your parents' insurance right before you enlisted, right, G? Sure, but don't say stupid things like that. Crewmen don't get sent anything in advance, and I'm already still... Crewmen don't... Excuse me. Crewmen don't get sent anything in advance, and I'm already still paying off old debt. So if it was me, I'd drag myself back there on a broken leg. Leave the kid alone. G laughed. He called you kid. I'm being affectionate. Don't worry yourself. We'll get you treated and send you on your way. What time are you due? Thank you. Tomorrow morning. Tomorrow? The pilot laughed. I get why you're so antsy, but look. You can get to the barracks from the hospital in less than an hour. A cut like that won't take any more than 12 hours to heal. They'll keep you overnight anyway since you're a rescue, and you can leave in the morning. I lost my uniform, though. First lesson being a Dragoon pilot. Someone like you is important enough to have little details like that taken care of. The pilot said with a bit of laughter. Oh, I see. Oh. God, my chair is so noisy. Oh, excuse me.
Geo stared up at the ceiling while she rubbed her aching shoulder, filled with hazy thoughts about being abused by the doctor she was going to be made to see, and scolded again by that lieutenant that already hated her. She only had a few minutes left before her snooze alarm would go off, and felt no urgency to be out of bed and any closer to seeing those people. But she had to be on her best behavior now, though she had thought she already was. She followed every order she was given and volunteered for everything that was optional, while harboring the daily paranoia of surveillance from her superiors. She was told, in fact, that she was being watched, and she had failed to meet their expectations. Geo struggled out of bed. She had to shower and be ready for assembly. Everything she did wrong now was being recorded. Compared to the ordeal of bathing in zero gravity, that she could be in and out of the shower here in only a few minutes felt downright opulent. There was no risk of drowning either. She could understand now how those who lived in gravity described bathing as therapeutic. That said, she couldn't bring herself to stand up in it for fear of slipping over, and sat cross-legged on the hard tile floor. Of all the things, she felt a little depressed over finally having enough time alone she could do things like masturbate, but being here had killed what little sex drive she had. She had done none of the things she thought about doing when her life finally allowed her free time. No watching cartoons, no playing games, no writing fic, no collecting stuffed toys, and no indulging in pornography or beating off. She had time, space, and money, but nothing felt like it would really be entertaining. She sighed to herself. As much as she'd love to stay in here for another 40 minutes, she had to get herself dry and out the door. As she undressed herself, a sense of emptiness hung over her. More and more, it was sinking in how routine it had been to keep a diary of her feelings on her blog to her friends. She no longer had anyone to document her life to. Boofy wasn't here, and neither were they. She could say something right now. She'd talk about this horrible room, first of all. She was too scared to touch any of it. As little as she desired to get out and face the day, she couldn't bear to stay any longer than she had to in here either. She affixed her ribbons and slung her bag over her shoulder. Geo stepped out of her quarters, bumping straight into a woman's chest as she passed by. Sorry, Geo sputtered. Nonplussed, the woman looked down there. Wow, they're really making you stay in that room? Huh? Just a little bad taste, don't you think? What do you mean? Odd, what do you think? The girl laughed, stepping away into the procession of soldiers leaving the barracks. Geo stood there, stunned and wanting to chase her to ask what she meant, but quickly lost sight of her. And then she pinched the bridge of her nose at her own stupidity, joining the march. The previous occupant, the boxes. Of course it's in bad taste. I'm probably not going to be streaming for too much longer. There's one scene that I'm sure is coming up pretty soon that I want to get to first before I call it. But we're getting to the stopping point I had in mind. Jill held her arms to her chest among the heaving crowd waiting for the elevators, surrounded by complaints and mechanical yells from officers to form orderly lines. Being so short was something of a blessing in the cramped corridors and in smaller ships, but right now she couldn't see past the people around her. Ayane had the habit of just pushing through crowds, dragging Gio behind her, but all she could do alone was move with the flow of people. Eventually, she found herself pushed forward by the crowd behind her and into an open elevator. After an officer's command for those outside to step back, the doors closed and everyone could exhale with relief. Gio squeezed into the back corner, staying away from the officer's gaze, unsure if she'd even done anything wrong. for not wanting to find out. As the elevator began to lower, she gazed at herself in the mirror. Pigtails as usual. Looking at herself next to the crowd reflected behind her made their contrast clear. It was right. They were mostly women here, but even then, she was the only one that dressed like a grade schooler. The things the lieutenant had said to her, was it because she seemed so unwilling towards being an adult? She didn't need Foofy hovering over her shoulder for people to see that. Hoorah! Geo stood rigidly beside a row of pilots in the assembly hall, eyes glazed over in distraction as she mouthed the words of the anthem without singing. She couldn't recite more than a few lines from memory if she were asked to recall them, but the singing in school had succeeded in creating the muscle memory for the entire thing if she heard the music. After the anthem, one of the commanding officers would read off an agenda for the day, and sometimes prattle off a brief speech. Sidearms will be reissued following a statement sometime next week. All personnel are to return any weapons used in training to the respective quartermaster after use. Firearms are forbidden from personal quarters. Exceptions remain in place for senior staff and military police. There was some murmuring between nearby pilots, but Geo couldn't make it out. She wasn't in any rush to be given a gun and didn't want to hear anything more about guns. Parade drills were to be held for the naval crewmen, though pilots had yet to be given the order. At some point, she'd have to march through the streets of the capital, which she was still yet to even lay eyes on, smiling and waving at a crowd. It was creepy how many people around her sounded excited for that part. Breakfast was the only meal of the day served to everyone at the same time. Long tables are set out with meals ready on a first come, first served basis. She noticed the general staff tended to wait for the pilots to take their pick first. Gio took 2 slices of toast and some hazelnut spread. It was nowhere to be seen, at least. With Ayane missing as usual in the mornings, Gio scanned the room for a comfortable place to sit, her heart lifting a little when she spotted a familiar fluffy tail.
Is it okay if I sit with you?
Gio asked Shima, sitting beside her at a table. Go ahead. Shima replied in her usual hushed tone. Gio did her best to smile warmly, taking a seat across from her. It was unusual for a major to be eating here instead of the officers' lounge. The lowly ensigns such as Gio, while technically officers, certainly weren't welcome there. Did Shima truly not even have a single friend on this base? As Gio watched her eat, Shima's eating habits struck her as a little strange, but rather refined. She ate very slowly, only cutting a small portion at a time and chewing with her eyes cast downwards. Gio felt a pang of self-consciousness at the way she ate, wondering if her habits came across as crude. She'd taken toast because it didn't require any cutlery, but the choice probably felt more childish than her clumsiness with utensils.
How is it? The food, I mean...
Gio asked, nibbling at her toast. It's fine.
Yeah. So, I completed my first test flight. I wasn't sure if I could, but it turns out I can. So, I guess we're officially going to be flying together.
Like I said, if you have compatibility, you can fly. Shima replied with mechanical disinterest, staring at her food. Gio smiled anxiously.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, working together.
We aren't working together, Shima replied flatly. I am your superior.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Gio put down her toast.
Sorry if I'm just bothering you.
Why are you so interested in me? Shima asked quietly.
I'd like to get to know you.
Why?
Because we're in the same squadron. Shouldn't we get to know each other? And you've been nice to me, I think. And I want to know what you were looking for when we met. Do you think it's wise to try and make friends here? Jay gave a short, stilled laugh. Honestly, I really don't. I get what you're saying. I don't know. If all we're here for is just to take orders, what's the point? Sorry, I shouldn't say that to you. A career soldier might kill you for saying something like that. Shima monotoned. But you aren't one. How do you figure that? Susie wouldn't be in charge if you were. That's rather blunt. Sorry, I just mean, I don't know. I don't see you as someone who enjoys being here. Shima gave no reply to that. What I'm saying is just, I'd like us to be on good terms if we're going to fly together. Life yanked me from stream again. Put him back. Oh no! Welcome back. Hope things are good over there. Life is life. Regardless of us being soldiers, I want us to just be able to see each other as people. It isn't necessary to see me as a person. With that, Shima stood up from the table, her plate now empty. As she set out for early classes, Geo found Ayane staggering into the hall with a hollow expression. Concerned, Geo asked, "Hey, are you alright?" "I look like shit, huh?" Ayane muttered to herself with exasperation. Fluorescent lighting is the sun, not the ant under the fucking magnifying glass," Ayane croaked. "You really aren't a morning person, are you?" "No, ma'am. I want to go back to bed. You want to get breakfast?" Oh my god, yeah. The newest update is so good. It's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. The like latest update, I cried multiple times reading it. It's really good. It's really fucking good. I already ate. Breakfast was a while ago. What fucking time is it? Ayane checked her phone and groaned. Fucking rations for me then. Ayane moped. Geo sat beside Ayane as she alternated between doing her makeup with a small hand mirror and sipping from a foil rations pouch. Circumstances aside, her dexterity here was kind of impressive. I can hold your mirror if you like." "No need. I used to do this every day before school." Ayane gloated, puckering her lips to apply gloss. "My mom was fine with me being a girl, but, I quote, was not raising a slut." "Huh." "And then I'd take it off before she got home. My dad never noticed if I was wearing it or not." Ayane laughed, clapping her mirror shut. "Wow. Do you think it's stupid for a soldier to wear makeup?" Ayane asked idly. "I have the same thoughts about my pigtails." "Those are a lot less work than all this. Not that I ever stop. If I'm gonna die, I want to die a bimbo." "Why do you think Shima wears makeup?" Geo asked. Probably it wasn't so she could die a bimbo." "Falling for her already?" Ayane teased. No, just I had breakfast with her and I was wondering." Can't really get a read on her. "She's a drunk psycho killing machine." "She drinks?" "Considerably more than me. We're just saying something." "Huh. She doesn't seem like the type." "She's behaving right now, I guess." "Was that why she was out at night?" "So how'd breakfast with her go? You get all lovey-dovey?" "You can guess how it went." "Well, this would be a buzzkill. But do you really want to be friends with her?" Gio laughed a little. She's asked me the same thing. "I guess I do, though." "I too wish to die like a bimbo." Nodding. My advice is I wouldn't trust her. Why not?
It's a matter of our place on the food chain. I'll make friends with officers that could order me to my death the next day.
I know, but she isn't in command.
Something happened to Susie, she would be. She can veto anything Susie says if she wants to.
Doesn't seem like she'd do that, though. Isn't that why Susie's in charge in the first place?
I know it's all hypothetical. But what if she orders you to do something horrible?
Would it ever come to that?
With her, it would. She's pretty fucking hardcore. You know the score, right? We aren't anything but subordinates to her. We could die if we disobey her.
But we're friends with Susie, right?
Ayane corrected her. You're friends with Susie. But I know what you're saying. Susie's different. She's the type that would take the fall herself.
Yeah, she is. She was scary, but I'm lying if I say I only want to get to know her out of obligation. I don't feel obliged towards anyone here. I don't know what it is about her. I want to know why she's here, how she came to be doing all this. But at this distance, I can't grasp it at all. I don't think she treats other people the way she seems to treat me either. And I want to know why. Sorry, I punched my mic. Is it because we share the same background? Or is it something else? The more I think about the way she looked at me, the more it feels like she recognized me.
Oh my god, yes, this one. Cozy town. It's all a little cramped in there. Gio and Ayane floated in front of an enormous grid of small folding doors, each one a small bunk for sleeping in. A small cadre of... I've never known how to say this word. I'm gonna... Hold on.
Cadre.
Cool. Thank you, Google. Small cadre of instructors bounded between the groups of soldiers, showing them the insides of the pods and discussing life in zero gravity. Listening in on them, Gio learnt this facility was built as a rest area for the rotating crews of the nearby gun batteries, in the event they required manning 24 hours a day. But right now, the war was quiet enough, it had been relegated to training purposes. Of course, Gio knew how these pods worked like the back of her hand. She'd spent most of her life sleeping in them, after all. It wasn't long before Ayane had begun to drift away from the group, Gio following behind her.
How are you feeling?
Gio asked. Tired. Laying around like this makes me feel dizzy.
I guess that's why they want you used to it,
Gio observed. So, you're meant to sleep in these, Ayane muttered, grabbing onto a handle. Can't say they look particularly inviting. Is this normal for you? Ayane asked, opening the shutter to a bed.
In a worker's quarters, yeah. I lived in a fair few of these. Pod rentals are similar.
I see.
Though, honestly, these are way nicer,
Gio said as she ran her hand over the plastic paneling. These are... nice?
I like it. It's cozy.
Gio pulled herself through the opening, gleefully prodding around.
It's nice and spacious. Plenty of room in the closets, too. This material is really nice.
Hey, Gio. Oh, this was one of the CGs that was censored. She had like a really cute like rainbowy diaper here. It was really cute, but as I said, unfortunately censored because of the Patreon bullshit going on. Gio. Yeah, because fucking like Patreon would like ban like they just fucking like axe like a bunch of people like seemingly like out of the blue for like certain fetish content, and like, you know, with like threat of having your livelihood like pulled out from under you, like like the change had to be made. I know Ivy's like potentially like looking to looking to see if there's like a different like payment processor that she can go through so she can uncensor this, but fucking sucks. It fucking sucks that people have to censor themselves because of like nebulous ick policies. Sucks so bad. Makes me so mad. Subscribe Star. Yeah, Subscribe Star I think was what was one that she was potentially looking at. I need to take a look around on like Subscribe Star as well. Cause like, you know, I would like to have a thing for this, but like looking at Patreon, I get scared. You know, like seeing the things that have like kind of happened with that. There is filtered right at the ventilation point, and it's here too. Anyways, we're gonna continue on with Geo diaper panty shot. Just imagine it, okay? Just imagine it with your mind. Don't incorporate it. Yeah. Grasp your shoulder. Yeah. Geo, you know, Ayane muttered. Nothing. Ayane pulled herself through the opening, pushing Geo aside. Give me a look at this. If it's so nice. It's only meant for one person, Geo stammered. Show me how the straps work. Oh, yeah. She has a line there, too, where she's like, well, that explains the pigtails. But it seems that was also... Show me how the straps work. Better than you than some greasy instructor. Geo squirmed. You just... So, you take these and you clip them on each side, and then you tie it here like a bag strap. Kinda kinky, huh? It's necessary. People move a lot in their sleep. Also, you aren't meant to just sleep as you are. You bring in a sleeping bag and secure the bag with the straps. I'm doing image trading. Well, strapped in. You can do whatever you want with me. Geo recoiled. I'm just teasing. Don't joke about that. You really scare easily. Ayane said dryly. Geo's ears folded back. I know. Geo kicked to the folding door closed. Ayane? Shh. We'll hide in here and sneak out everyone moves on. Clever, right? Ayane. You already know all this, so what are you missing? Come on, not happy to have a pretty girl tied up in a box with you? Or would you rather be taking lessons about shit you already know? Geo could only sigh. Little. These classes are pretty much just for show. Besides, if we do get sent out, I'll have you show me the ropes anyway. Geo nodded enthusiastically. Of course. Such a dependable little cadet. Ayane laughed. You don't have to go so far for people all the time. Not that I'm complaining when it's from me. I want to help you out if I can. Geo squeaked. You've done a lot for me. Ayane frowned. I really haven't done anything special. Yes, you have. I guess self-deprecation isn't my style. That's more my thing. We can't both do it. Really, though, I want to be a good friend to you. You don't find it significant at all that you're the literal only person I spend time with here? I mean, I did have some thoughts, but... You cheer me up. You're like those critters playing waitress. Really? You were a critter. Geo cheered a little. I'm a critter. I think you're the first person I've met here who I can even hold a conversation with. Like, about the heavy stuff. The ship, the war, all that. I don't think I'm seeing the same things as everyone else. Yeah, I feel you. I feel really lucky I got to meet you here. You are lucky. Ayane gloated. You like it in here, yeah?
Yeah. I never had bunks this nice and clean back home.
So it's nice?
Yeah, it is. My teacher is probably explaining this, but you can't just sleep anywhere in 0G. When you're still for so long, carbon dioxide pools around your head.
Scary.
It is, but I guess it's like how looking both ways before you cross the road is second nature to you. So, yeah, when I'm in here, I feel safe.
Like a womb. Gio said.
Sure, like a womb.
Honestly, I hate it, Ayane muttered. I don't get sick like some people do, but weightlessness makes me feel screwy. Even though you tell me it's the opposite, it feels like I'd suffocate in here. Makes me realize how fucking spoiled I am. I'm not asking for reassurance. Ayane cut her off. I've been thinking. You're my friend, but I don't really know anything about you. How you've lived, what you think of this place. Whenever I'm in the city, I see all these happy, rich, useless people. Ayane's face lacked any expression as she said, I think about killing them all the time. I think about how it feels to fire a machine gun. I would feel to just line them all up and gun them down. But up until a few months ago, I was just as ignorant as them. And for someone like you, there's probably not a lot of difference between the two. I never survived this way of living. I can't sleep in a box like this. I can't live on those rations I was eating this morning. And then I hear you say this is nice. That food I think is trash. It's nice. I don't know anything about what the worst version of all of this is. I was living pretty comfortably middle class before, but now I have more money than I've seen in a lifetime, in my parents' lifetimes. I can't even imagine what you make of it. You're always staring off into space. You flinch whenever anyone speaks to you. I can tell how many things you're seeing for the first time in your life. So, what I'm trying to say is... God, what am I trying to say? That I know I'm an idiot? Or, well, that it kind of scares me you never have any complaints. I guess I just want to know what's on your mind a little more.
You aren't an idiot,
Gio murmured. That wasn't the important part. I just worry about you a lot.
Yeah, I guess, I don't really like to talk about things from before. None of it is really all that positive. I mean, I'm sure you figured that out. I just don't want to be, attention-seeking.
Ayane rolled her head back with a sigh. Gio... No more apologies. Ayane grabbed Gio's shoulders. You don't have to treat yourself so... Ayane trailed off, searching for words she wanted to say. I just feel like I said, I don't know anything about you, but I get the sense everyone in your life has been someone who's beating you down. I don't want to be one of them, okay? Gio couldn't form a response. She never had a moment with someone that felt like anything like this. Ayane looked at Gio's expression, her face falling in turn. Her arms reached further around Gio's back into a hug. Gio held herself still, trying to hide her fear so as not to put Ayane off. I'm not all that good at being nice, am I?
Yes, you are,
Gio murmured reflexively. You'd be the first to say it.
Don't say that.
You're allowed to be a little attention-seeking. I want you to complain more. And, well, you wear your emotions pretty obviously anyway.
I don't want to.
You're really into this whole nobly suffering in silence thing.
It's not... I don't know. I just want to be normal. I don't want to stand out. I don't want people to know what's wrong with me from just a glance.
What's normal for a soldier? Like I said, if you're anything like this pricks outside, we wouldn't be friends.
Yeah, Shio hid her face in the crook of Ayane's neck. She'd been here before. You're always stuck inside your head and you never tell me anything. It's like, even when I'm holding you, you weren't even there. She could never fully speak her mind with anyone, and they could all tell. But Ayane wasn't angry at her like other people had been, like her boyfriend had been. His touch was like that of a doctor, but Ayane held her now because she cared about her. Shio never knew there was a difference in how that felt. That's real as fuck, by the way. Shio croaked quietly. I don't think that you're naive or anything for not being able to put up with this. Oh yeah, I missed a couple. We haven't had our second tower event yet. We could still pretend it's last year. Explain exact. Yeah, no, it's real as hell. I've definitely had like some personal experiences that were like very like enlightening in that like regard that I'm not gonna get like into here or anything, but it's real. I think I've gotten used to a lot of things that humans aren't supposed to be able to. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Yes, please play it. I had the feeling that this game would really click with you. I do think you should play it for yourself. I turbo recommend this. I wouldn't wish that on you. You're far too sweet, Ayane sighed. I just don't want you to feel like an alien. At least not around me. Yeah. Ayane's plan to sneak out had failed as the pair ran straight into an instructor on their way out. After a quick excuse from Ayane about looking for the bathroom, the girls found themselves joining the train ride back to the academy. Sitting side by side, Ayane yawned and stared at the roof, already falling asleep. Shio's skin still felt hot. Ayane's face was so close to hers. The things she said to her were probably kinder than anything she'd heard in her life. It was so cruel, being expected to pay attention to class after that. Debating whether or not I want to call it here. I might. I've been streaming for about 3 hours. I think this is probably an okay point for me to call it for the time being. I've been at it for a while. I feel like just past 3 hours is kind of a healthy point for me. Let me hit the stream ending thing. Let me mute the game real quick because I'm gonna play this fucking killer track again real quick. It makes me unwell. It's so fucking good. Again, thank you all for coming along and watching me read along to Coquette Dragoon. I'm gonna play this really cool track that Kita made, and then while I'm doing that, I'll also like figure out who to raid. Hopefully this isn't at like 1 million volume when I ah!
Fucking rips, don't it? Fucking goes crazy. I think okay. So I found who we're gonna raid. I think we're gonna raid Lomi. We're going to raid Lomi. Wait, hold on. I'm have the wrong thing open. Slash raid Lom it Lom. It would help if I could type correctly, or I could just I could just copy and paste. I could just copy and paste. It well, okay, it's fine. We're gonna go over lobby. And thank you so much all for coming. I appreciate you all, and I hope you all have a lovely rest of your night or lovely rest of your day, depending on whatever time zone you may be in. Um, I will be playing more Coquette very soon, most likely, probably.